Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. We bring you hundreds of novel audiobooks covering every genre and every kind of story you can imagine. Action? We've got it. Adventure? Absolutely. Horror? Of course. Whether it's the legendary Uchiha Massacre or outrageous tales like stealing Naruto's and Sasuke's women, you'll find it here. From epic series like One Piece, Bleach, Fairy Tail, and Hunter x Hunter, to countless other adventures, our library has it all. Love novels but don't have time to read? No worries, just plug in your earbuds, sit back, and let the story take over. Good listening, and happy hearing. On the Beastman side, there are 2 towers staffed by archers, with about 100 warriors in armor at the foot of the towers. Many beastmen appear to have suffered serious injuries. Some are being treated, others are repairing equipment, and a few have already died. The dead beastmen had their gear stripped off, and their severed heads were placed aside. Behind this area is a camp with over 20 large tents and several bonfires. Lin Yi was astonished when he saw the camp scene. Near the bonfires, there are female beastmen running around. They are quite unique. Tall and slender young female beastmen darted gracefully before him. Most were full and plump, but there were a few with a flat, thin build. They have thick long hair, each strand about 4 times thicker than human hair, looking distinctly exotic. Like the male warriors, these female beastmen come in various skin colors, including green, orange, and the exceptionally rare bright deep red. Green-skinned girls have red hair, orange-skinned girls have brown hair, and red-skinned girls have platinum-colored hair. If not for their skin color and necks about 1/3 shorter than humans, you could hardly distinguish them from human females. They're very beautiful, aren't they? But don't stare. They are the warriors' wives and daughters. They take care of the camp. The Beastman Lord noticed the human reaction and smiled as he sent the message. Lin Yi sneered at the words, scoffing. What hasn't he seen? His gaze still swept over the Beastman females, tilting his head, saying, I thought they would be taller and more muscular. Men engage in combat, while women stay home to raise children. But if the women are bigger, they eat more. Turghai laughed heartily and added. But I'm really not interested in these women's looks whatsoever. At this point, they reached the guard checkpoint. A warrior left his post and spoke to the Beastman Lord and his human guest. Great leader, we have heroically held this checkpoint. Attacked? Turghai frowned, looking at several beastmen corpses. Yes, great leader. 2 cycles ago. The battle was fierce. The elder aided us. Well done, you are all brave warriors. I have brought an ally. Now, we will surely win. We will win? Indeed, spread the message. This is our new ally. Turghai pointed at Lin Yi with his strong large hand. The beastman warrior glanced at Lin Yi and suddenly remembered he is the one on the tall city walls who ordered the scythe of death against the beastman warriors. Suddenly, his face turned pale, backing away in alarm. Not fearing death doesn't mean not being afraid of dying. But soon, he realized he had become a strong ally of the beastman race. His eyes suddenly ignited with light. He and other warriors had believed their tribe was doomed to extinction. Their only goal was to fight one last great battle before extinction to bring glory to their ancestors. Yet even knowing victory is hopeless, they still inwardly long for victory. He bowed and returned to the other warriors. After telling the chief's words, the warriors began to cheer enthusiastically. Lin Yi looked at these beastmen soldiers. It looks like you've had quite a tough time recently. There are many wounded here. Our tribesmen have strong life force, their wounds will heal tonight, but those who died will never return. They were all great warriors. We usually drink a special water that speeds up wound healing, here. Lin Yi smiled as he sent the message, then, in his hand appeared a kettle filled with magical lake water. Turghai took the kettle and called out, Turgyu, come here. Seconds later, a severely injured beastman came to him, his entire right arm full of 3 horrible wounds, already incomplete. Drink this. Turghai said as he handed him the kettle. The beastman took the kettle with a curious expression and took a sip, then within about 5 seconds, he drained the whole kettle. From his eyes, it was apparent he felt comfortable, and even wanted more. How do you feel? I feel as if the Great Elder cast magic on me. Feeling strong all over, and the pain. Suddenly, the beastman stopped, a wave of unbearable itchiness spread throughout his entire arm. His dreadful wound began to heal visibly, accompanied by intense itchiness. Tell him to wash his wound. Lin Yi said, handing Turghai another jug of spring water. Turghai hurriedly expressed thanks, then opened the jug, pouring the water over the beastman's wound. The itching noticeably subsided, and the beastman warrior's injury began to heal more rapidly. Turghai gazed at the kettle in his hand and sincerely asked curiously, what is this magical potion? This is water with a high concentration of life force. I'll have my people send more to you. Lin Yi watched the beastmen warriors before him, amazed by their powerful bodies' recovery abilities. Their healing speed is 10 times faster than humans. Turghai laughed appreciatively. With this water, we will surely defeat those evil spirits. I'll call my people over and then discuss how to arrange the defense. But have your people leave the entrance temporarily. I need a good look. I understand. Turghai began giving orders to the warriors, and the area was quickly cleared, except for the archers on the towers. All beastmen returned to the camp. Lin Yi spoke through the radio. Hubert, are you ready? Boss, ready. He waved his hand, and Hubert appeared at the checkpoint. The veteran quickly scanned the beastmen and their camp, then began to closely examine the future battlefield. This place isn't nice. I can tell. Chapter 146, Deployment of Defense Beastmen Territory. Lin Yi looked at the checkpoint. This exit was a narrow passage. Space was limited, so not many could be deployed here, at most about 40. Moreover, when trying to kill the endless wave of zombies, a large number of bullets would eventually be wasted. The only choice was to use machine guns. This would be highly efficient, but wouldn't last long due to reloading times. Additionally, there was the issue of corpses. Lin Yi looked about 100 meters away at the piles of zombie corpses stacked together. In the fragment world controlled by zombies, corpses were not recycled. With this in mind, he sent a message to the Orc Lord. Turghai, how do you deal with those? Evil spirit corpses? Of course, they are fed to Ziti, but I guess you don't know these creatures. They eat everything, grow quickly, and are very nutritious. I also raise some similar creatures, but I've never tried feeding them dead enemies. You should try, it's very efficient. So the evil spirits won't dissolve into the ground, providing you with organic material? Organic? What? Dissolving into the ground? Your arc is truly strange. Here, evil spirits just fall where they are slain. After the battle, we collect their corpses and loot them for spoils. My people are worried that if the entire passage is blocked with evil spirit corpses, what should we do? Elder Kai will cast a powerful spell, and all the corpses will turn into an acid capable of harming evil spirits. But it's an expensive spell, requiring an energy core and wasting a large amount of Ziti's food. A huge expense. Understood. If we ultimately have to use that spell, we will split the cost 50-50. A pleasure doing business with you. Turghai laughed heartily, feeling he had chosen a great ally. After the conversation, Lin Yi began setting up defenses. This time, the beastmen defended the left side of the passage exit, while the human camp was on the right side. He instructed his people to build 10 reinforced machine gun emplacements and transported a large number of guns and ammunition there. The soldiers arrived in military jeeps and a small bus, bringing everything needed. Lin Yi then used teleportation to bring lake water. Besides the machine gun emplacements, he also set up some small sniper positions for hunting mutated creatures. Towers were guarded by beastmen archers and shamans, with some beastmen also deployed behind the machine gun emplacements. These were the best warriors from the beastmen tribe, all of them advanced professionals. Behind them were beastmen archers, although most of them were not professionals, and few of them could actually use a bow. However, beastmen were strong, and they did not need much accuracy to shoot into the zombie horde, and their numbers were enormous, totaling around 600. Turghai promised that after his people had a chance to recover using the lake water, he would send more warriors. Lin Yi had large quantities of Louis killing cocktails brought over. These Molotovs, improved by bomb and demolition experts from the cathedral, turned into true bombs. They were already powerful, but mixed with rocks and metal shards inside, their lethality was extremely high. Additionally, he had them make ordinary bombs for use in close combat. Hubert was a seasoned veteran who had served as a mercenary in countless battles. Thus, he devised detailed combat strategies for every unexpected scenario conceivable. The camp had many vehicles, which could be used for evacuation if explosions occurred. There were also numerous explosives and incendiary devices that could help slow down the enemy in a retreat. Turghai stood beside Lin Yi, watching the busy human soldiers, and sighed. Your warriors are truly disciplined, cooperative, and worthy of our learning. We humans are physically smaller, but with intellect and creativity, we have long been the dominant species on our planet. I have seen many races similar to yours. Not exactly your race, but very similar. We call such races. Seeing Lin Yi's curious look, Turghai decided to explain, called soft skin race. By the way, most evil spirits are soft skin race. No wonder I said zombies look so much like humans. However, Lin Yi didn't plan to get tangled in this. He sent a message, let's get back on track. What can you offer in trade with me? I know you like complex machinery, here, look at this. Turghai replied, with something resembling a firearm appearing in his hand. He took it, finding the long and heavy firearm about 1.5 meters long and weighing about 40 pounds. Second-level black powder rifle, single-shot black powder rifle. Effective range, 150 meters, with strong stopping power. Slow to reload, with higher recoil. Note: rainwater and high humidity will reduce the weapon's effectiveness and stopping power. It's heavy, so it can be used as a club. Don't let women and children handle it. Gunpowder is stored in a special drum-shaped container, sufficient for 5 shots. Reloading the container consumes 1 magic value. Lin Yi quite liked this item, it seemed decent. The range was indeed quite impressive, but not every warrior could handle it with ease. Not bad. Do you have anything else? Ha ha ha. I knew you'd like it. Let me show you everything we have. Turghai sent messages to him and began taking items from the warehouse one by one. First level flintlock pistol, single-shot black powder pistol. Boasts powerful stopping power with an effective range of 25 meters, though it is slow to reload and has a small chance of jamming. Gunpowder is stored in a special drum-shaped container, sufficient for 3 shots. Reloading the container consumes 1 magic value. Third level double-shot black powder rifle, a unique black powder rifle allowing the user to fire twice in 1.5 seconds. Effective range, 250 meters, with high accuracy. This rifle comes with a bayonet and a powder container that can hold 10 bullets. Reloading the container consumes 1 magic value. This is a light rifle, it's not recommended to use as a club. The bayonet can be detached or replaced, but where to find a replacement? That's your problem to solve? After examining the black powder firearms, Lin Yi started looking at the bows, and these bows were quite unusual. They were larger than Earth's bows, appearing like finely decorated long sticks with bowstrings attached. A bit like homemade fishing rods? First level young hunter bow. This is the first bow received by a forest hunter on their 10th birthday, easy to use, requiring only 12 power. Second level hunter bow, a bow given to hunters upon reaching adulthood, more challenging to use but with strong stopping power and high accuracy, requiring around 15 power. Third level master hunter bow, only the most experienced warriors can use this bow. Despite being difficult to use and having low accuracy, it has great stopping power, requiring around 18 power. Fourth level legendary hunter bow. Chapter 147, Grows Strange, Big Stomach Beastman Territory, at the checkpoint. Lin Yi stared at the 4th level bow. 4th level legendary hunter bow. In the several centuries of the forest tribe's existence, only a few hunters used this bow. It has tremendous stopping power and excellent accuracy. If you inset an energy core into it, the core's element can be attached to the arrows shot from it. Required power, 20 points, a good thing indeed. He silently marveled. After looking at the bow, he moved on to the armor. The beastmen only have first level and second level leather armor. According to Turghai, the Tar people will recycle leather goods to make armor, the same goes for metal products. They keep firearms and bows mainly because they are mostly made of wood. Could they be burned? How many of these do you have? If you don't mind me asking. Where did you get these? I don't know. Don't know? The beastman lord replied with a smile, and then sent another message detailing his explanation. I guess they were looted at some point. These weapons are the spoils of war from our ancestors. They've been stored in our warehouse for generations, left to us by our ancestors for trading. Hey, are these ancient equipment? As a merchant, Lin Yi was sure that there was definitely more good stuff in the Beastman tribe. I'll take everything you've shown me, and I can pay for it. Do you have anything else? I can give you ziti, but I only need food. My people have been hungry for too long. I'll take you to see the ziti pit. Turghai led Lin Yi to the Beastman fortress. Behind the giant fence was a makeshift town with buildings similar to ordinary nomad tents, decorated with skulls and other war trophies. Even when doing business, beastmen mostly stay outdoors. Lin Yi saw a giant blacksmith smelting dilapidated or damaged armor into molten iron and then forging new armor parts. As he walked, Lin Yi saw a middle-sized beastman cutting up the hanging corpse of something between a bug and a maggot. Soon, he and the beastman lord arrived at a giant pit. Not huge in depth, but in area. Thousands, even more, of these bug-like and maggot-like creatures were crawling in the big pit, feeding on. Or rather, absorbing the corpses of zombies. These are ziti. Their meat doesn't taste good but is highly nutritious, and they can produce milk. Turghai sent Lin Yi a message but couldn't help but chuckle upon seeing the newcomer's reaction. I also find them disgusting, but their milk is delicious. Come, have a taste. After sending this message, the beastman lord pulled Lin Yi to the edge of the pit. Up close, the ziti looked even stranger. Their skin was pale beige, measuring 2 to 5 meters in length and 2 to 3 meters in height. Some were extraordinarily large, almost bulging. "Those are females. They produce milk," said the beastman, pointing to a particularly large ziti. "The others are males, and we eat the males." The male ziti were petite, looking more like maggots than bugs. Turgai called over a nearby woman to milk a female ziti. The female ziti made a sound akin to a certain creature, turned sideways, and the beast woman quickly filled a jar with milk. The milk looked and smelled just like cow's milk. "Try some." The beastman lord took the jar and handed it to Lin Yi. Lin Yi initially meant to refuse, but the milk looked perfectly fine. And smelled quite good. He tasted it. The flavor was like milk, only with a slight sourness. Overall, it wasn't bad. "We also use their hide to make tents." Seeing Lin Yi's expression, Turgai immediately knew this deal was sealed. "Do you have anything else?" "Not much else. We need energy cores and have always been short on money. Generally speaking, our resources are not enough." "So what do you usually eat?" "Just ziti meat and milk. About 15 years ago, we suffered a devastating blow, and now only ziti are left. I want to know what you humans can provide us." "We have rabbits," Lin Yi said, as an omnivorous rabbit appeared in his hand. It was a plump rabbit weighing 40 pounds. Turgai looked at the cute little rabbit and sincerely asked, "Can I try it?" "Go ahead." Upon seeing Lin Yi's response, the beastman lord twisted the rabbit's neck, skinned it, and used his fangs to take a big bite out of the rabbit's leg. From Turgai's expression, it was clear that he felt like he was experiencing a gourmet feast. Holding the half-eaten rabbit, the beastman lord seemed deep in thought. "I've never tasted anything so delicious. Are they prolific breeders?" "What are they called?" "Omnivorous rabbits, highly prolific breeders." "Omnivorous. Do they eat evil spirits?" I think they do." Lin Yi conjured another rabbit, pushing it toward a zombie corpse. The rabbit hesitated briefly, then started gnawing on the corpse. Seeing this, Turgai grinned broadly, looking at Lin Yi with great anticipation. Lin Yi conjured a large piece of steel and tossed it to him. "This is metal, you'll definitely like it." "Fantastic. This iron is indeed very good," the Orc Lord said sincerely. "The Tar race, the Tur tribe, mostly use iron. They've never even heard of steel. They actually have some, but it was acquired by melting plundered equipment. They don't have much steel and don't know what to call it, so they simply call it iron." Afterward, Lin Yi also offered vegetables to the orcs, but the orcs can't eat vegetables, they only eat meat. Next, the two continued their conversation in the Orc Lord's palace. Lin Yi brought along Chen Yuiu and Emmanuel, while Turgai came with 4 elders. Chen Yuiu was very nervous about this meeting, terrified of these fearsome creatures. But Emmanuel behaved as if he had lived with orcs his whole life. This old fellow was indeed deserving of being a tour guide, handling all sorts of scenarios with ease. Thus, in this negotiation, he single-handedly faced off with the 4 orc elders. Pulled to the extreme, for a whole hour. However, the elders were no pushovers either. After falling at a disadvantage, they finally played their trump card, skill books. The orcs have raided and plundered the territories of many other lords of space-time, but mostly found their spoils in the fragment world of humanoid zombies. Most of these skills are unusable by orcs, but the elders knew their value, so they haggled until both sides flushed with anger. Finally, Emmanuel argued based on reason, and the 2 tribes reached an agreement. The orcs' equipment would be returned to them, plus they would receive 500 adult rabbits and 200 cars, for the orcs to disassemble and reforge into weapons and armor. Humans would also provide magical lake water within the next 3 days, offer them a ton of meat, and forego collecting the remains of zombies killed in battle. In exchange, the orcs would provide humans with 600 pieces of plundered level 1-4 equipment, 50 milk-producing bugs, i.e. ziti, and 31 skill books. Lin Yi chuckled softly. This deal was indeed extremely profitable. The rabbits in the shelter were too numerous to cull. The cars to be melted down by the orcs were all scrapped vehicles, piled up like mountains in the junkyard fragment space, previously used to make barricades. Not to mention the magical lake water, which was inexhaustible. In other words, this trade was like exchanging stones for gold, especially skill books. The orcs' skill books were brand new. Lin Yi had never seen similar skills before. For instance, there was a precise shooting skill, which enables the user to shoot firearms more accurately. Once precise shooting is upgraded to level 3, equipped with a machine gun, the user could become the death messenger. Another interesting skill was mechanician, which could be used to build steam-powered machines. This book even included several schematics, one of which was a design for a steam-powered tank. The transformation skills were equally formidable, but no one knew what skills like Saliva Shooter or Furious Fierce Mountain would transform a human into. The orcs also didn't know what these skills were. They could only learn a small portion of the skills from the book whenever they tried to learn a transformation skill. Great gods would send them a message saying they were version incompatible. This explained why humans and orcs couldn't use each other's equipment. After all, system armor automatically adapts to the wearer. If the system versions of orcs and humans were the same, then orc armor could be worn by humans and vice versa. Lin Yi imagined orcs wearing black leather armor, barely holding back from bursting out laughing. After the negotiations ended, the humans returned to the base. It was already 2 p.m., and aside from the bug milk, they hadn't eaten anything. Everyone was exhausted. Lunchtime was very quiet. But the main reason wasn't fatigue, but boss, sisters. Nurse Martha, tears streaming down her face yet extremely excited, pulled someone out from behind her. This is my sister, I really didn't expect to find her. Mary, this is the boss. Lin Yi was eating, looked up. So shocked that the meat in his mouth sprayed out. This girl named Mary. Hard to say, really hard to say. To say she's ugly, not really, just looks a bit strange, especially her teeth, while others have them all in a row, hers are like luxurious villas. To say she's fat, not really either, looks about 300 pounds, just has a big appetite. Lin Yi found it hard to imagine, it's already the end of the world, yet she hasn't slimmed down, or maybe she had slimmed down, which begs the question of how she looked before the apocalypse. Mary is Martha's biological sister, but in appearance, they were worlds apart. Mary's personality was also quite different from her sister's. She grinned broadly, greeting everyone present. Finally, she looked at Lin Yi. Hello, boss. I'm Mary, just like my sister, I've been raised by my parents to be a good wife since childhood. Chapter 148, Refusing to Stop Plundering in the Shelter. Everyone was very curious about how the sisters met. Of course, except for Lin Yi. He wasn't one to join an appearance club, he was just really hungry, eating in silence, shoveling down the food. Mary, she first hid in the kitchen, there was a lot of food there. Eventually, she became a cook in Blaze's fortress. I met her in the lab when she had an upset stomach. I was so happy. With Martha's story, everyone was stunned by Mary's magical journey. The main thing is, this girl almost never lacks food, even from the apocalypse until now. Even now, she is a cook in the community canteen of the shelter. At this moment, Martha looked at Lin Yi with teary eyes. Boss, can we invite Mary to join us for meals these days? Of course. Lin Yi nodded with a smile. Reuniting with family in a life-and-death apocalypse is quite something. He watched Martha pull her sister over to sit down, and then he served a large rabbit leg to Mary. Eat. Feel free to eat here. Thank you, brother-in-law. Mary laughed, showing her big teeth. Lin Yi's smile instantly froze on his face. The lunch continued. Everyone began reporting the situation. Solomon has been training soldiers, maintaining firearms, and handling many other maintenance tasks. The girls solved many daily life and manufacturing-related issues. Louis was pulled away to repair guns and ammunition looted from the military base. There was also a big harvest that day. The farm workers harvested 80 tons of potatoes, 25 tons of vegetables, with 7 tons each of wheat and corn. Their potato stockpile was nearly 300 tons, while the corn and wheat slightly less than 25 tons. Vegetables were about 100 tons, and meat 25 tons. Lin Yi nodded, pleased with the gradual development of the shelter. He turned to Chen Yui. With the war these days and the alliance with the Beastmen, are the residents panicking? No, boss, on the contrary. Most people support your decision to ally against the zombies. Many civilians have high evaluations of our soldiers and the overall management of the shelter. Even more people have signed up, wanting to become soldiers. Solomon has already started expanding the area. Chen Yui rarely spoke so much at once, clearly very excited now. Expanding the training area? Yes, boss. They have started dismantling cars to take out the tires, using them to set up obstacle courses. They are short on materials, but he said he can solve the problem himself. Got it. Lin Yi nodded and looked at the lively Annie. Are you okay? But at this moment, the girl was no longer lively, she looked pale and couldn't even eat. Besides opening luck eggs, Annie was also responsible for animal husbandry. She was thrilled when she heard that the boss would be breeding new species upon returning to the shelter and rushed over immediately. Lin Yi set up 2 large enclosures and merged them together, then transferred 50 milk-producing insect cows inside. The giant mutated maggots left a deep impression on Annie, and she fainted at the sight. And it wasn't just her, the 3 girls tending the rabbits were all in shock, with 2 of them also fainting. It's worth noting that there was also the issue of storing insect cow milk. The insects needed to be milked daily, or they would become irritable. If no one milked them for a week, their milk would dry up. But the store didn't provide milk storage facilities. Every time Annie thought about it, She was terrified. After lunch, Lin Yi carefully examined the precise shooting skill book obtained from the Beastman. Precise shooting, level 1. This skill enables you to use any firearm, and your shooting accuracy and speed will improve. He sincerely hoped that by reaching level 2, he could enchant bullets like archers enchant arrows with magic. He handed the mechanician skill book and all the design blueprints to Louis. Louis was as happy as a child who just got a brand new PS5. He immediately ran back to his studio, eager to start researching. Obviously, one of the abilities of this skill is to repair firearms, which reminded Lin Yi of Sylvie's weaponsmith skill. Perhaps by reaching level 2, Louis would be able to manufacture guns. He was more imaginative than Sylvie, who once tried to make a long spear, only to end up gluing a knife to a stick. Once everything was in place, Lin Yi decided to relax at home for a while but then remembered the vending machine. He picked up his laptop and entered the trading section. Your vending machine number 1, balance, 21,645 coins, so much? Give me a detailed report. Vending machine 1, balance, 21,645 coins, daily income August 11th, 7,655 coins August 12th, 13,990 coins, total sales quantity, 4,329 items, not bad. I've already made back half the coins I spent on this thing. Entrepreneur Lin Yi muttered to himself, beginning to conceive a grand plan to establish a business network. Provincetown. Lin Yi looked around. He stood in the center of a desolate small town, with no one around. Melanie, get the guys over here. The defenses against the zombie general were ready, so he decided to seize the opportunity to sell some food at another camp. But he couldn't just ignore this empty city. After discussing with Solomon, Lin Yi took 20 experienced soldiers and 300 civilian volunteers looking for a break from farming tasks, preparing to start scavenging the town. They were divided into 6 teams, but were not allowed to stray too far from each other to prevent any mishaps. Each team was equipped with a camera and a cameraman. Currently, including Melanie, the shelter had 9 cameramen, so some teams were equipped with 2 cameras. The first target was Leon Bean Hospital. Although it was a town hospital, it was actually a large comprehensive building. Everyone decided to proceed cautiously and use cameras to search the area first. It turned out to be the right move. In one of the hospital's buildings, there were about 600 zombies locked inside. This hospital was almost untouched. Apart from those zombies, it was very clean and safe. It's time for a traditional big scavenging. The 323 people took whatever they could. They removed televisions, unscrewed light fixtures, and even detached windows from the walls. There was also the parking lot. Hundreds of cars there, some even containing personal items and supplies. Interestingly, no zombies were found in the cars, and nearly 10% of them were completely intact. However, many medicines were either damaged or expired, but they found a large number of medical tools and equipment, which made Lin Yi overjoyed. He ordered people to pack up hospital beds, medical and other books, and also the premium kitchenware from the big cafeteria. The entire process took about an hour and a half. The destruction caused by a swarm of locusts might not be as extensive as what Lin Yi had wrought. The term locusts passing might have become outdated. Lin Yi, now intoxicated by the excitement of looting, led his people west and ransacked a few indeterminate-use buildings. At this time, a scout came to report. Boss. There's a shooting range and an archery range here. Our training ground can be expanded. Great. Let's get to it, everyone. Lin Yi cheerfully ordered his subordinates to plunder, reaping a bounty of targets, practice bows, and other equipment like shooting earmuffs and archery gloves. Next to the hospital was a business and industrial park named Z, along with a car and motorcycle repair shop. They didn't find any motorcycles but discovered plenty of car parts and a lot of other loot. After scavenging the park, they headed north. Melanie found a motorcycle shop on the map, and the scavengers made their way there. Passing through a small street flanked by houses, the team members discovered a few zombies inside some houses, the sacrifices for civilians becoming professionals. 20 people were assigned to each house, and 20 minutes later, the entire street was thoroughly scavenged. At the end of the street, Lin Yi finally found what he had been searching for, motorcycles. The store had 24 motorcycles, parts, supplies, etc. Everything was intact and brand new. Haha. He could now don those cool sunglasses and ride with the wind, speeding everywhere. Lin Yi suggested his team take a break, but these guys, with blood in their eyes, refused to stop. They didn't want their families still sleeping on the cold ground. 2 hours later, the entire residential area, home to roughly 2,000 people, was picked clean. When everyone returned to the shelter and took stock, they found that about 300 families received brand new beds, personal hygiene products. Of course, there were also clothes, cosmetics, and various things women need but that men completely don't understand. These new acquisitions were so alluring to the civilians. Soon, more people decided to join the scavenging teams led by Lin Yi. Or rather, the volunteer militia organization. The Western Front remained quiet, with no zombie activity, but everyone knew that war might be imminent. So after dinner, Lin Yi and most of the soldiers went to sleep. This would be a tough night. Knock, knock, knock. Lin Yi had just climbed into bed when he heard knocking at the door. He opened the door. Chen Yuiu stood outside, wrapped in a bathrobe. Her hair was damp, her skin pink, clearly just having bathed. The young woman smiled shyly, one hand hidden behind her back. Come. Before Lin Yi could invite Chen Yuiu in, she nimbly jumped over the threshold and closed the door. The girl held a bag of clothes in one hand, carefully placing the bag on the ground. Then she slowly took off her bathrobe, revealing her shoulders without using her hands, and then gave a gentle shrug, letting the robe slip to her elbows. Next, she slowly opened the bathrobe completely, letting it fall to the floor. Chapter 149, The War is sounded inside the room. Lin Yi hadn't noticed before, Chen Yuiu looked healthier than usual. Her figure was more toned, and the hair that used to reach her shoulders now extended to the middle of her back, with the necessary trims done carefully. A stunning natural beauty, a 9 out of 10. Lin Yi picked her up and carried her to the bed, holding her for a full 2 hours. Thanks to the soundproofing, they didn't disturb anyone, nor did they keep anyone awake, so Chen Yuiu was more passionate than usual. Lin Yi lay on the bed, embracing the exhausted girl, and asked, "Who taught you to undress like this?" It was Sylvie. She often did photo shoots for magazines before, so she knows how to be more alluring. And what about those poses? Some poses I've never even heard of. Martha taught me some skills. Right. I remember she said something about being trained to be a good wife. Wait a minute. How did she teach you? We. The two chatted for another half hour before Chen Yuiu went home to sleep. This was going to be a long and difficult night. At 1 a.m., Lin Yi was woken up. The Beastmen scouts reported that evil spirits, infected creatures from the zombie territory, were moving. Lin Yi washed his face, tidied himself up, and then strolled to the front lines. According to the Beastmen's predictions, the attack would arrive in about an hour. Hubert, what's that strange thing? He confusedly pointed at a bizarre device made of pipes and a furnace, with a 6-barrel fire god machine gun mounted on top. Ha ha ha. I was surprised too. This is Louis' design. He said he got the inspiration from steam-powered tank blueprints. This looks impressive. By the way, boss. Perhaps we can get some civilian drones for reconnaissance. You tell me where, and I'll get them for you. They will surely be of significant use to the shelter. Then, Lin Yi looked at the bustling camp of his allies, and changed the subject. Are the Beastmen ready? They haven't contacted us, but I think they're ready. At that moment, the Beastmen camp was lively. For some Beastmen, it was the first time in their lives they tasted truly delicious meat and drank a large amount of magical lake water. The Beastmen warriors were now filled with a desire to fight. Just as the Beastmen scouts predicted, the zombie tide started attacking an hour later. Nearly 100,000 regular zombies and several thousand mutated zombies rushed madly toward them. But as they approached the entrance of the Beastmen Ark, the approximately 20-meter-wide narrow passage was already blocked by humans and Beastmen. This setup meant the passage could only allow about 20 zombies to pass side by side at any given time, with a maximum zombie capacity of only 1,500. The Beastmen roared excitedly, ready to advance. Their tasks were twofold: to stop zombies from invading in melee combat and to act as the wall for the human soldiers. But they hadn't run 2 steps before quieting down, shocked at the scene before them. They saw the human lord wave his hand. Countless machine guns roared, beginning their onslaught, firing at the distant corpse tide. The machine guns were aimed roughly at the height of the zombies' heads, so a brief burst of gunfire could turn half of the zombies in the passage into a bloody mess, targeting their heads, necks, and chests. Bullets pierced directly through them, killing multiple zombies at once. Large-caliber bullets could pierce through over a dozen zombies in a single shot. Cease fire. Await the next wave. Hubert gave the order to the soldiers via radio walkie-talkie. All soldiers were equipped with headphones because, during intense combat, vocal commands without amplification couldn't be heard at all. Upon receiving the order, the soldiers stopped firing, waiting for the passage to be filled with zombies again. Despite taking this seriously enough, I still greatly underestimated your power. We might really get through this. Turgai laughed heartily. Don't rush to celebrate, my men can't maintain this firepower indefinitely. That's fine too, my warriors have always been eager to show their skills in battle. As long as they act according to plan and don't get too impulsive, our enemies are too many, we can't take risks. War broke out again. The zombies kept surging forward but never managed to get close to the humans. Behind each machine gun bunker were 4 soldiers armed with assault rifles, tasked with eliminating isolated targets and injured enemies. "Let your men go." Turghai nodded and responded loudly, then led 10 warriors into battle. They were closely followed by 35 human soldiers. The beastmen swiftly reached the passage entrance and firmly held it, while the human soldiers stacked up the bodies. The shamans cast their most potent spells on the warriors, enhancing their strength and endurance, and safeguarding them from the zombie virus. Human soldiers used the beastmen as cover, swiftly collecting bodies whenever possible. Turghai charged through the zombie horde like a tank, leaving hundreds of corpses in his wake. Other beastmen warriors valiantly fought on, some relying on skills, others on brute force. After 15 minutes of battle, the beastmen withdrew to the rear under human cover, and the machine guns roared to life again. Initially, Lin Yi just burned the zombie bodies, but the beastmen cared more about zombie remains than coin. Because they needed to feed the remains to Ziti, it now naturally included those traded rabbits as well. The battle erupted. The zombie general kept driving wave after wave of fodder zombies towards the defenders of the 2 tribes, trying to wear down their strength. But the defenders, aware of this tactic, preserved their physical strength as much as possible. The passage quickly got blocked by bodies again. Orcs were sent to hold the line, but this time the zombies were prepared. Dozens of mutants stood ready to confront the incoming orcs. First-level mutants weren't a significant threat to the strongest warriors of the Tur tribe, but being surrounded by endless tides of corpses made the situation extremely dangerous. However, archers and riflemen hiding behind covers provided powerful support. This ensured they wouldn't be entirely overwhelmed by the tide and lose their beastly lives. A few orc shamans also launched attacks on the masses of zombies, and human soldiers even threw several homemade thermite grenades. The scene descended into chaotic warfare. In the subsequent 3 rounds of attacks, the zombies returned to their ages-old tactic, using fodder to exhaust the enemy. It seemed to work. Both humans and orcs started to exhaust, and the barrels of machine guns and assault rifles began to wear down. Ammunition in the shelter was being consumed as if a pig's throat had been slit, endlessly bleeding. The battle had lasted 4 hours, and the onslaught of the zombie horde showed no sign of stopping. They became even smarter. A second-level mutant zombie took advantage of a few unsuspecting orc warriors and seriously injured them, causing a chain reaction that stalled the entire defense. Helpless, Hubert ordered the soldiers to create a firewall in the passage with the killing cocktail made by Louis, and then ordered the humans and orcs to withdraw. Before retreating behind the wall, they managed to collect only about 1/3 of the corpses. Once the corpses burned up, the fire quickly died out. Zombies poured into the passage, filling it within minutes with their bodies. Another group of orcs tried to drive the zombies away, but a group of mutants lay in ambush beneath the corpses. After suffering casualties, the orcs had to retreat. Then, shamans and archers used their skills to cover the entire passage, wiping out all the zombies inside. Then, an orc elder cast the flesh corrosion spell skill. The entire passage immediately filled with acid formed from the slaughtered zombie bodies. Because soldiers had built small concrete barriers at both ends of the passage before the battle, this prevented the acid from flowing out, forming a shallow acid lake. The acid didn't have the strength to dissolve zombies instantly like boiling water on ice, but nevertheless, the zombies' bodies gradually melted. When the spell expired, all the acid turned into a sticky liquid. Humans made a hole in the barrier, allowing the liquid to flow into a specially dug pit. Under Turghai's leadership, the orcs rushed into battle again, driving off the infected zombies so that human soldiers could collect the bodies. Once the corpses were collected, the entrance brightened up again, and our attacks could land effectively once more. At this moment, the mutants also began their frenzied assault, but even 3 second-level zombies in heavy armor couldn't shake the Beastman Lord. His sword effortlessly cut through their armor, quickly slaying over a dozen second-level zombies. But the mutants had some tricks left. About 4 second-level spike-shooting mutants suddenly launched an attack on Teriyaki. They had been hiding among ordinary zombies for this very moment. The archers couldn't react in time, and the shaman's magic couldn't protect him from this second-level virus. Bam. 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 In this critical moment, Lin Yi took action. Having mastered the precise shooting skill, he shot each one in the head, instantly killing 5 mutant zombies. Lin Yi. Thank you. Turghai turned, baring his fangs in a grateful smile at Lin Yi. Lin Yi nodded in response. The battle continued. Orcs had to retreat, and the archers and mages incinerated all the nearby zombies. But for safety, Lin Yi still ordered his men to burn all the bodies in the passage. He teleported back to the camp and gave orders to the first person he saw, "Soldier, once you find Louis, bring him to the front to see me." After speaking, he teleported back to the checkpoint. 10 minutes later, Louis appeared, covered in soot like a coal miner. Boss? Why so long? Get me some catapults or a massive slingshot. I need a device to hurl explosives, and I need it now. Understood, boss. But I need. If people are needed, bring people. If materials, get materials, quickly. Understood. Louis nodded, then ran back to the camp. Chapter 150, Eggshell and Egg White Beastman Territory. At the checkpoint, Lin Yi watched the roaring flames while talking to himself as usual. Damn, the battles in this narrow passage are endless, and the zombies adapt too quickly. The corpses piled up, burned for about an hour, during which the zombies' actions were halted. This gave the defenders some time to rest, eat, and maintain their equipment. Turghai, despite being wounded in multiple places, was still full of vitality. The beastmen had also lost some warriors, but their morale remained high. To them, this was a battle concerning the fate of the entire tribe, and participating in it was an immense honor and pride. Their exploits would become legend, and they and their kin would enjoy eternal glory in the tribe's lore. That's what Turghai said. To this, Lin Yi was non-committal. The fire died down, and the tide of corpses surged through the ashes and still smoldering bones once more. They dared to charge straight into the enemy's bullets and arrows. Open fire. Lin Yi waved his hand. Two beastmen who had been pulling on a giant metal slingshot immediately released their hold. A large jar flew through the air. After about 100 meters, it landed amidst the unsuspecting zombie horde, exploding into a massive fireball that ignited over 100 zombies. Because they were packed closely together, the flames quickly spread. The jar contained a lot of gasoline. This concocted fuel burned slowly but spread rapidly. But needless to say, the zombie general wouldn't allow its army to be destroyed in such a manner, so it quickly isolated the burning zombies. But Lin Yi wouldn't let it succeed, waving his hand again. Another jar flew over. Then the third, fourth, fifth. The fire spread swiftly, forcing the zombie general to take action. The horde of zombies launched a sudden assault, charging furiously towards the defenders, forcing the machine gunners to switch from short bursts to continuous firing. Minutes later, half of the passage was piled high with thousands of zombie bodies, forming a genuine mountain of death, making it difficult for the gunners to aim. We must burn these bodies. Everyone, be cautious of any mutants. Lin Yi saw in the distance 7 heavily armored second-level mutants appearing atop the corpse mountain. The zombie general had created a fortress of corpses, preparing to let the mutants infiltrate the battle. At the command, the archers, mages, machine guns, and assault rifles all fired at these new enemies, but the mutants were less than 20 meters away. The beastmen warriors immediately charged forward using close combat as a wall for the soldiers. The defensive battle turned into a war of attrition. After cutting down another mutant, Turghai turned and shouted, "What do we do, Lin Yi? Have your elders melt down the bodies?" Lin Yi watched the battlefield intently. Currently, the mutant zombie horde, relying on the corpse mountain as cover, was too aggressive. To kill them would inevitably require more enchanted arrows and magic value. The beastmen were good in melee but too reckless. The best method was to melt down the corpse mountain and systematically wipe out the zombies. "I'll prepare," Turghai said, rushing to speak with the elders. Lin Yi and a few soldiers made a hole above the barrier for the acid to flow out. Having done all this, the beastman lord side was still not communicating well. He went over to listen. Well, they preferred to face the mutants in direct combat, longing for a glorious battle and death. Isn't his pure madness? Why die when you can live? These old beastmen were Turghai's elders, but not his. So Lin Yi lifted one of the old guys up and slapped him twice. "If you want to die in battle, I won't let my people perish, believe me, I'll have you die trying." The old beastman was dazed, angry yet startled. He looked fearfully at the expressionless Lin Yi, then saw Turghai standing behind this death god, watching with an air of calm detachment. Finally, he agreed with a trembling mouth. The beastman elder waved his bone staff. The top of the bone staff was a skull, with gemstones embedded in its 3 eye sockets. A cloud of acid descended like a thick fog, melting the bodies, but the mutants made use of the temporary visual obstruction to launch a desperate suicide charge. By the time the human soldiers realized what was happening, it was too late. The heavily armored mutants broke through to the machine gun positions, followed by various crazed mutants. The acid cloud inflicted massive damage on them, but they were merely cannon fodder prepared for the final demise. Luckily, Lin Yi had already had Turghai and his warriors standing by on this side. The beastmen reacted promptly, preventing any casualties, but 7 of the 10 machine gun bunkers were smashed flat by the massive zombies. By this time, the soldiers received the order and no longer conserved ammunition, firing madly into the acid rain, taking down the zombies in front. "I can't hold on much longer. The acid cloud has nearly drained me of magic value. an elderly and frail beastman elder said, his shriveled face as white as paper. Along with him, the beastman elders who helped cast the acid cloud were also all looking utterly exhausted. Time to retreat. Lin Yi took out the horn given to him by Turghai and blew it, the sound deafening. The beastmen and humans immediately responded, quickly retreating 5 meters. Hubert, take action. Yes, boss. Hubert responded, then strode forward, shouting, get down. Everyone dropped to the ground. At that moment, a strange device fitted with a fire-god anti-aircraft gun descended to the ideal height for shooting at the enemy, and unleashed a barrage of bullets. Bang! 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 The large-caliber bullets capable of destroying armored vehicles created a hellish scene on the battlefield. At this point, 4 zombies appearing like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse emerged. They were third-level mutants. Their hindquarters elongated with extra pairs of hind legs, their bodies almost completely covered in bony growths like a shell, standing nearly 6 meters tall. They were more like walking tanks than zombies, but the fire god machine gun can turn light tanks into sieves. As soon as they appeared, they exploded. Use electric skills. The archers too. Anyone who uses fire will spend at least a week milking bugs. Lin Yi gave the order over the radio. Right now, the passage was filled with acid, and acid, as a liquid, can conduct electricity. On the other hand, fire would disperse the acid, reducing visibility to 0. All the human soldiers engaged in battle, armed with submachine guns and assault rifles. After another 10 minutes, the zombie attack finally began to wane and stopped. Around 2,000 mutant zombies were eliminated, most of them second-level mutants. The remaining ones turned and fled. The zombie general, having lost its main attacking force, decided to switch from offense to defense. Hubert shouted to an especially excited soldier, watch out for the acid, the magic spell hasn't worn off yet. What's going on with the machine gun, Duncan? Can we fix it? Replace the damaged ones, the enemy might come back. Don't run into the acid, you idiot. Get some food ready. Everyone, eat something and take a break while you can. What are you doing, you idiots? The battle had just ended, but Hubert was already rearranging defenses in preparation for the next fight. Lin Yi had to admit, the French could curse endlessly too. Of course, they didn't have as many diverse and rich swear words as in Chinese. 5 minutes later, the acid magic effect wore off, turning the acid into slime, which flowed into a specially dug pit. The soldiers began collecting loot and cleaning up the half-dissolved zombie corpses. At the beastman's request, the melted corpses were piled in a separate place. They couldn't be used to feed bugs but had other purposes. Every step the defender took, there was a clinking of coins underfoot, too many coins. And energy cores. But what really shocked everyone were the reward eggs. Despite the acid, piles of corpses, and endless zombie monsters rampaging, these eggs were intact, even their packaging was still there. Turghai approached Lin Yi, holding a few white reward eggs, and asked, what are these? These are reward eggs. Rewards? For killing evil spirits. We've never received any rewards. Really? That's weird. Try opening it. I can't open it, the great spirits say. System version incompatible. Huh, let me show you. Lin Yi picked up a white reward egg, and upon opening it, found a dozen level 1 baseball bats. But clearly, the Beastman Lord's attention was not on that lousy piece of wood. He pointed at the now-halved reward eggshell and curiously asked, can this thing be eaten? What? Lin Yi looked at Turghai as if he had lost his mind. So he raised his brows, want to try? Sure. The Beastman Lord took the eggshell, and after sniffing it, threw it into his mouth. His reaction was not unusual. His pupils dilated like a junkie craving a fix. Delicious. What is this? Eggshell. I knew it. I knew it. Give me a few more pieces to eat, I'm starving. Alright. The Beastman couldn't open the reward eggs, so Lin Yi started feeding the shell pieces to Turghai. During this, he also took a bite. Yuck, it tasted like plastic. However, seeing a Beastman addicted to the reward eggshell and clamoring for more, he couldn't help but laugh. He then messaged the Beastman Lord, striving to maintain a straight face. Since Yutar people can't use the reward eggs, and we agreed on a 70 out of 30 loot split, you keep the eggshells, we take what's inside? Let me think. Turghai said while munching on the eggshell, eyeing Lin Yi, who only held a baseball bat. He didn't understand why the other opened 6 eggs and only got a piece of lousy wood yet still wanted this stuff. But this was great news. Contentedly, Lin Yi and the Beastman Lord shook hands, finalizing the deal. The Beastmen got the eggshells, humans got the egg whites. Deal concluded. Lin Yi tried opening 10 more reward eggs, doubling the number of baseball bats to 2. He finally couldn't resist and spat angrily. Chapter 151, Boss, you do it. Beastman territory, At the checkpoint, most humans and beastmen went home to sleep, but a few stayed behind to collect spoils or stand guard. The beastmen also sent scouts to the evil spirit's territory, so they could know the timing of the next invasion. On the eve of battle, the soldiers barely slept, but this time they fell asleep as soon as their heads hit the pillow. 3 days of relentless fighting left not only their men exhausted but also their equipment severely worn. 5 machine guns were almost scrapped, and 2 were slightly damaged but still required careful repair. It was a quiet and peaceful night, with no disturbance from the zombies or beastmen. The next morning, after a hearty breakfast, Lin Yi began distributing the spoils of war. This campaign collected a total of 23,000 intact corpses, about 6,000 charred bodies, and approximately 10,000 corpses dissolved by acid. A large number of coins were also found. It took a long time, and everyone carefully counted them. The total number was slightly over 264,000. There were also 1,366 second-level energy cores, 4 third-level energy cores. There were also many reward eggs. The shelter received 1,520 white rewards, 1,107 green rewards, 670 blue rewards, 5 purple reward eggs. Upon hearing these numbers, Lin Yi was so delighted his heart nearly stopped beating. The beastmen revered the reward eggshells extremely. Each beastman only received a small piece, and the rest were sent to the warehouse for use in special festive feasts. Lin Yi planned to build walls on every side of the shelter, not just the south, which would cost about 1 million coins. Lin Yi sent a message to Turghai through the negotiation board asking, "Any news from the scouts? The monarch of the evil spirit wants to lure us to him. He has already gathered his forces, but his territory is very large, and the scouts barely surveyed 1/5 of the island." The beastman lord quickly replied. He had a beastman elder by his side, while Lin Yi had Hubert and Solomon on his side. He stroked his chin, pondering silently. Currently, the 2 races had already destroyed the core of the zombie general's army, but if there was a chance to defeat the general's main force, the rewards would surely be significant. But the number of zombies was truly overwhelming, and fighting them in open fields would be suicidal. Considering the situation, the zombie general would definitely use this time to expand its ranks. Therefore, they must act quickly to eliminate it, lest it grows more problematic over time. Suddenly, a voice echoed in his mind. New task: eliminate the infected zombie monarch, and cleanse the wandering island. At this time, Turghai's eyes were filled with curiosity and inquiry. What do you think our next step is? Of course, we should decisively and thoroughly take down this guy, but we have to use some tactics, and our people need time to repair weapons and prepare the necessary materials. Ha ha ha. I knew you were no coward. You are a truly brave warrior, Lin Yi. Under the nourishment of your lake, the new generation of warriors will soon grow up to be stronger than ever, and together, we will attack the monarch's territory. Turghai was extremely excited at this time. Although both sides were allies, the overall direction of the battle was controlled by humans. He was very worried beforehand that Lin Yi would act like a wealthy gambler, backing out after making gains. After all, humans had a tendency for such behavior, often lacking decisiveness in decision-making. But he did not expect Lin Yi to be even more aggressive than he was. Having such an ally in the Taru race is truly an honor. Lin Yi and Turghai shook hands, and then their advisors took over the remaining negotiations and strategy meeting. The meeting lasted for 2 entire hours. It was finally decided that both sides would return to prepare well for the upcoming battle. Meanwhile, human soldiers would allocate a certain amount of water and meat to feed the young warriors of the Beastman race, while setting up defensive structures at the passage entrance. To achieve this, part of the fence was dug out and moved to the passage, reinforced and strengthened with concrete. The Beastmen were also kept busy, helping to build a road from their land to the passage. Inside the shelter, after harvesting 7.5 tons of wheat, Lin Yi took the opportunity to add 7 more plots of farmland. Now the shelter has 10 large wheat fields with a total area of 6,000 square meters, expecting to harvest 25 tons of grain next time. After dealing with the farms, Lin Yi returned to his laptop. The previous few days, he and the scavenging team had almost cleaned out an entire town, so the shelter should have gained a lot of experience points. About items obtained, brief version: the shelter obtained some items from a military base, receiving 755 experience points. About items obtained, revised version: the shelter obtained some items from a hospital, receiving 1,066 experience points. About items obtained, brief version: the shelter obtained some items from the town, receiving 2,589 experience points. The shelter is now level 12. Possessing 66%, that is, 13,578 out of 20,480 experience points. In the past 3 days of the campaign, Lin Yi himself gained a lot of experience, raising him to level 9, with 46% still needed to reach level 10. Inside the room. Boss. Why are we here? Annie found herself and Lin Yi, a man and a woman alone, in an empty room, and was clearly quite uneasy. This large room was about 150 square meters, with a big bed, a table, chairs, and a refrigerator inside. Boss. I don't want to. The girl's eyes filled with tears, but she saw the boss busily working on something at the table. She hesitated for a moment, wiped away her tears, began to undress, and then slipped under the blanket. I'm ready. Okay. Why are you getting under the blanket? Lin Yi turned around to look at Annie, stunned. Then, he noticed her clothes on the chair, especially the one on top, a shiny pink pair of panties. Hey. Why did you take off your clothes? But. Didn't you bring me here for that? You fool. I brought you here to open the rewards we got from the battle, because there are so many. I left you this room so you wouldn't get distracted. Ah. Annie's face turned crimson with embarrassment, and she shrank her little head under the blanket, exposing only her eyes, looking timidly. Seriously, what's going on in your head? If you need anything, just tell Sylvie. After Lin Yi finished speaking, he left the room, leaving the dumbfounded girl alone. At this point, Annie finally snapped back to reality. She saw several boxes on the table, opened one, and saw it was filled with so many rewards. Seeing this, she only felt a wave of nausea. When would she finish this work? Boss. Come back. At lunchtime. Melanie asked, where's Annie? Suffering, she's having her lunch in the cell. Lin Yi answered with a mischievous grin. In the real world, Provincetown. Lin Yi conjured up a brand new motorcycle. It was black and red, with flame patterns painted on it, looking very eye-catching. His first destination was Thierry Castle, the camp of the red-haired man from before. But when he arrived, it was already in ruins. Melanie, report the situation. Nika, be on standby to cover me. Everyone else, stay alert. Lin Yi's monitoring department, with the increasing number of people, he now had 10 pairs of eyes. Melanie quickly responded, Boss, there's nothing but zombies in this camp, 300 of them. Got it. After sending the motorcycle back to the shelter, Lin Yi bypassed the zombies, went through the forest, and headed towards the main camp. He found that the camp had been completely destroyed. There were no zombies on the ground, but there were many human corpses, most of which appeared to have been shot, and some had even been tortured first. Boss, I see 3 people, one of them injured, they're approaching you, one of them is someone you've traded with before. As Melanie said, minutes later, 3 people walked into the camp. A black man, a sturdy young woman, and the short and stout red-haired man he'd seen before. He was limping, his leg and shoulder wrapped in bandages, his face pale from blood loss. Traitor. You're back. Looks like you were delayed a bit. From what I see, it seems delaying a bit was actually a good thing. Of course. Otherwise, those Angel Gang would have taken all the food you gave us. I agreed to sell it to you. Lin Yi shrugged, correcting him, then understood what had happened. It turned out that on the same day the two made a deal, some angels from the Angel Gang showed up. They brought along a group of zombies. Then, after all camp defenders fell, they took the zombies away. They took all the food and kidnapped everyone who was still alive. They thought our camp was well stocked with food. Someone told them you hadn't returned yet, but they didn't believe it, cruelly torturing those people. Don't tell me these bloody details, I get what's happening. Ruthless, Lin Yi, showcasing his merchant nature, impatiently waved his hand. Then why aren't you dead? Me? We were also late. The red-haired man suddenly went weak in the knees, clearly heavily injured. But he stubbornly continued, the Angel Gang left guards here to prevent you from coming back. We dealt with them, but also got badly hurt. Did you get the coins? Ha ha ha. The first thing we did was hide the coins. Tell me. How much do you need the coins? The red-haired man had a gleam of hope in his eyes, clearly the response he was about to receive was crucial for him. Lin Yi stroked his chin and asked with a smile, are you asking me to avenge you? No, you're an honest merchant, I'll give you the coins, and I won't ask you to send your people to die for a bunch of strangers, I just don't want those angels to get these coins. The red-haired man, with determination in his eyes, handed over 530,220 coins to Lin Yi. Lin Yi looked at him, then looked at his companions. These people, seeming to know their days were numbered, had already calmly accepted death. Chapter 152, 500,000 coins in the forest. Lin Yi transmitted a bottle of lake water from the shelter and handed it to the red-haired man. Drink this, and pour some on the wound. What is this? Special water, it can relieve pain and help the wound heal faster. I can't guarantee to kill all the angels, I need to understand the situation first. Lin Yi waved his hand, and a system message appeared in front of the survivors. And also, you have been invited to become a resident of the space-time shelter. Please familiarize yourself with the rules of this shelter. If you agree to these rules, please say I agree, and you will be taken to the shelter. But please note, the owner of the shelter is the king and master of space-time shelter. As a resident of the shelter, you have the rights to have a place to live, obtain food, receive protection. You are prohibited to touch the boss's belongings, have conflicts with other survivors, damage the shelter, terminate this contract. You need to obey all orders given by the boss. Other matters, this contract can be modified at any time. Without the boss's permission, you may not leave the shelter. If you agree to the terms of this contract, you will be automatically transported to the shelter. Appendix: no one, including the boss, shall violate your will by forcing you to have relations with any man, woman and unknown creature. This clause cannot be changed or removed from this contract. The red-haired man looked at the notice, his eyes wide open. This means a peaceful life, but first you must surrender your weapons and undergo an inspection to ensure you are not spies or saboteurs. What do you guys think? The red-haired man turned and looked at his friends. The black man gave him a thumbs up, and the young woman just nodded silently. We agree, the red-haired man said excitedly, then placed 2 guns and a hunting knife on the ground. The black man had 2 second-level swords and a pistol, while the woman had a baseball bat and an assault rifle. They were very cooperative. After all, they had already seen the armed personnel of the shelter. On the other side, a girl named Chen Yui will came to bring you and inform you about the shelter's situation. Lin Yi smiled and said, then, you need to tell me the location of your former boss's coin hiding place and the location of the Angel Gang base. As he finished speaking, with a wave of his hand, the red-haired man and his companions were transported to the shelter. Over there, Chen Yui would use mind reading to discern that they were not spies or enemies. Meanwhile, Lin Yi wasn't idle either. He checked this abandoned camp. Although it had already been ransacked, never underestimate a level 200 scavenger. He gathered a dozen people and quickly dismantled the car barricades, sending them back to the shelter. Then soldiers began to deal with those makeshift houses built from dismantled cars, as well as some trucks and small buses. These houses could be easily transported as single objects, but they were directly sent into a big pit since they were full of useless junk. Half an hour later, nothing was left in the camp except for battle signs and some worthless trash. No corpses, no houses, no camp. Just after finishing all this, a trembling male voice sounded in Lin Yi's earphones. Boss? It was the red-haired man, his voice sounding very excited because everything he had seen in the past half hour was enough to make his head spin. Lin Yi was about to call the man's name but realized he didn't know it. So, he responded briefly, speak. I've marked the coin hiding place on the map, as well as the location of the Angel camp. I'm going to the hospital for treatment soon. Don't go taking risks, okay? Don't worry, I won't get lost. Lin Yi grinned, then transported back to the shelter with the soldiers. After checking the map, he planned a route. The coin hiding place was 1 kilometer to the east, in a small farm called Kurdu. While the Angel camp was 7.5 kilometers to the north, in a town called Shuvisong. Lin Yi had previously driven past this town but had never actually been inside. It seems he would be revisiting old places. This place was controlled by a motorcycle gang. This gang used to drive hordes of zombies to attack all their enemies. However, to control the zombies, they had to clear all the mutants from the zombie horde. Their leader, the Great Angel, is an advanced archer who can kill a first-level mutant with ease. These guys have yet to encounter higher-level mutants because the food supply here is extremely scarce. This gang successfully took over the town, but that led to almost all the survivors being killed by zombies. These days, the Angels decided to expand their territory by attacking nearby towns. But residents of a small town called Kampe beat them soundly. So, the Angels employed a strategy. They kidnapped residents of Kampe town, took hostages, and then forced the relatives of the hostages to fight for them. The strategy was simple but effective. According to the red-haired man, their camp has about 1,000 people, including 300 combatants, and 500 of their family members. There are 99 real bikers, and if you count the Great Angel himself, that's 100. Lin Yi pondered slightly. This gang doesn't have powerful weapons, but defeating them could still result in casualties since they have some strong professionals. According to the red-haired man, every town in this region seems to hate them. Could this be an angle to work on? Lin Yi studied the map again. Then teleported back to the forest, quickly heading to Kurdu farm to first obtain coins. This time, he didn't ride a motorcycle around, worried about being mistaken for an Angel member and causing a misunderstanding. Upon reaching the farm, there were more than 30 zombies, about half of which were burned, some severely. He almost effortlessly gained 33 experience points, then gathered over 20 volunteers. He had them swiftly search the farm and take away anything valuable. Of course, not much was left, but they did find a perfectly intact warehouse full of sacks, buckets, and shovels. The bag of hidden coins was very well concealed. Even after 100 years, unless someone knew exactly where to look, they would never find it. He opened the bag of coins, and each coin was worth 1,000, totaling exactly 500,000 after counting. Such a small bag to hold so much loot. Lin Yi murmured to himself, looking at the coins, but it's still not enough, I need 1,000,000. Currently, including these new coins, the shelter's balance is 888,298 coins. This means he still needs about 200,000 more coins to build the walls and residential areas. However, there's someone who can make up this shortfall. The greedy Lin Yi revealed a wicked smile. After the soldiers finished ransacking, he sent them all back and walked into the forest himself. Then teleported back to the shelter. He gathered an entire expert team, including Hubert, Solomon, Emmanuel, Natasha, Chen Yuiu, Zoe, and Louis. You might have heard, we are quite wealthy now, and soon we'll be even wealthier. We need walls and a town, but obviously, the walls are our top priority, they must be sturdier than the southern walls. I think we should slightly expand the shelter's area before building the walls. If newcomers arrive, we'll need more space. This was Emmanuel's suggestion. But Lin Yi shook his head. Due to the beastmen and zombies, in the short term, our population won't spread beyond the walls. Then I suggest once there's an opportunity to expand, we increase the distance between the walls and the shelter boundaries to 600 meters and set traps between the walls and the shelter. Regarding Hubert's proposal, Solomon pointed out one thing. But the traps will soon be filled with zombie hordes, and then we'll have to clean them up. No, you forgot about the automatic cleaning system. Lin Yi laughed heartily. The zombie hordes will fall into the traps, and as the horde advances, they'll be crushed. Then the shelter will absorb their bodies, clearing the traps, allowing more zombies to fall in. At this point, Zoe hesitantly raised her hand. May I make a suggestion? Of course, my little strategist. Lin Yi valued this little strategist greatly. She had repeatedly offered creative and effective ideas. Upon hearing my little strategist, Zoe blushed, and she said happily, I saw in a movie. They had a helicopter and used its rotor? Anyway, they used it to kill hundreds of zombies. That's called a rotor, and the part used to kill zombies is the rotor blade. I understand what you mean, I think it's a good idea, what do you all think? Lin Yi said, looking at everyone. In some unique movie settings, when a helicopter swoops at low altitude, its rapidly spinning rotor acts like a massive, sharp cutting tool. Zombies near the rotor are instantly sliced by its powerful cutting capability, creating a highly dramatic scene in the process of clearing zombies. The scene appeared in everyone's mind, and they couldn't help but praise it. At this moment, the old rogue Louis spoke. Boss. I can make something similar. I won't use helicopter rotors, but instead, replaceable steel rotor blades about 3 to 4 meters long, powered by a combine harvester or tractor engine, but the engine needs to be underground. I'll need to give it power, then dig a maintenance passage and a ventilation shaft. He rambled on, gradually immersed in his creative ideas. Since acquiring the mechanician's skill, he has been almost obsessed with machinery. Later he researched designs obtained from the beastmen and, with the system's assistance, learned how to create real mechanical monsters. Now, he is truly a mechanician. However, Lin Yi interrupted him. No one wanted to hear this long string of information that almost no one could understand. You need to level up to level 5 quickly, then your abilities will enhance significantly. Boss. You're right. I must level up to level 5 immediately. The old rogue's eyes sparkled, looking 5 years younger. Chapter 153, Great Angel Inside the Shelter. Lin Yi's conversation with everyone lasted a long time, and before they knew it, it was time for dinner. The issues the shelter faced seemed endless. They would solve one problem, only for 2 new ones to emerge, solve those 2, and 4 more would spring forth. With joint efforts, they finally devised a plan to strengthen the shelter's security and expand the town. First, upgrade the southern wall and unify it into a single wall. Second, if the opportunity arises, increase the distance between the wall and the edge of the shelter to 500 meters, and set traps between the wall and the shelter. Third, install cutting devices, which was Zoe's suggestion enhanced by Louis's creativity. They need to be placed 30 meters apart, with an initial plan to build about 80 of them. Fourth, dig a trench and fill it with water, which will enhance the electric shock effect and significantly reduce the enemy's mobility. However, this raised a separate issue. Where would they get the water? Using lake water was impossible. All the soldiers had seen its effect on the beastmen. What if it had the same effect on zombies? Fifth, reorganize the town comprehensively, strengthen manufacturing and heavy industry, begin recycling and forging metals, produce their own chemicals, and start making firearms and ammunition. Explosives and killing cocktails had already proven their effectiveness in several battles, so it was crucial to transition from using bottles of liquid like cocktails to something more reliable and effective. Sixth, recruit people. They needed to recruit more civilian volunteers and soldiers. If possible, recruit from outside the shelter. But if they did, they must question these individuals and pass them through the human lie detector, Chenuiu's inspection. Seventh, they needed to turn all residents into professionals to discover rare and useful skills. Needless to say, this would bring about new issues in maintaining security, so to address these, they would create an internal security department managed by Solomon. Eighth, they must find more crops by any means. Especially grapes, mainly for red wine, as everyone there loved it. Apart from this extensive 8-point plan, they resolved many other issues. They expanded the social area, building a cafeteria near the farmlands. A cement road was constructed leading to the settlement in the previously occupied fragment areas, along with many other affairs. It wasn't a quiet night, with soldiers on full alert against another zombie invasion. The night was calm and peaceful. So, in the morning, everyone's mood was great. Breakfast was a pleasant affair. Even the little rider Melanie had Ziashwan sit beside her, smiling happily. As for the beauty Mary, food kept slipping into her big stomach, she seemed never to be full. Solomon was also glowing with health. Lin Yi smiled and asked him, "So happy?" "Oh, boss. We haven't told you yet, Giselle is pregnant." Solomon replied joyfully. "Congratulations. Well done, you too. Wow. Is it a boy or a girl? Are you silly? Obviously, they don't know yet." Before Lin Yi could congratulate them, the women started chirping away. Mary, who rarely talked while eating, lit up at the mention of pregnancy, her eyes sparkling. She too joined the animated discussion. Lin Yi finished his tea and walked toward Hubert. As usual, the old soldier was at the wall, discussing something with the beastman. Seeing Lin Yi approaching, he shouted, "Boss. We're just discussing it. What's up?" "The beastman scouts have mapped out the zombie territory. It seems there's a fairly modern city there, and the beastmen confirm they saw destroyed machinery in that place." Lin Yi's expression changed. This might be the place to find something special, maybe even alien technology. However, he also recalled the scrap found in the already occupied fragment zones. But scavenging is always worth a try. "Then let's take action," Lin Yi said, taking the roughly drawn map. On the southern edge of the island, there was a large city. According to the beastman's report, there were huge residential buildings there, even larger than Taru's fences. By human standards, they were essentially apartment buildings of about 15 to 20 floors. Based on their preliminary estimates, the city had at least 1 million. Some kind of entity, possibly zombies or other creatures. After discussing the upcoming actions with Hubert, Lin Yi returned to the real world. On the highway, he conjured a jeep and summoned 3 people, Solomon, Big Ziashwan. Ziashwan was already at level 8, but the others were still busy maintaining their firearms, so they hadn't arrived yet. The 4 arrived shortly after at Shirazong. Along the way, they saw some suburbs and small towns, but at the moment, they had no time to explore, and those places looked like they had already been thoroughly scavenged. After driving about a kilometer, Lin Yi started preparing for the major operation. He conjured 3 military jeeps equipped with anti-aircraft guns, as well as 4 reinforced minibuses. All the vehicles were armored, looking extremely imposing, and their occupants no less intimidating. There were 300 people in total, most wearing military uniforms and the latest model of tactical bulletproof vests. These bulletproof vests were difficult for many assault rifles to penetrate, let alone the shotguns used by ordinary bandits. About 40 soldiers were equipped with system armor, allowing them to transform into a second-level beast form, armed with assault rifles, swords, and hand grenades. The team of archers at level 5 and above were also in military uniforms, but equipped with forest warriors' bows. Old Mark had already authenticated these weapons, their attributes astonishing the archers of the shelter. Master Hunter's Bow, level 3, only the most experienced warriors can use this bow. It is extremely hard to handle, and though not very accurate, it has great destructive power. Required power, 18. Hidden attributes, damage, plus 30 durability, 50 out of 50, price for selling to a shop, 155 coins, legendary Hunter's Bow, level 4, in the long existence of the forest race, only a few hunters have used this bow. It possesses massive destructive power and excellent precision. If you embed an energy core in it, you can attach the core's element to the arrows shot with this bow. Required power, 20. Hidden attributes, damage, plus 25 explosive damage plus 50% durability, 100 out of 100, price for selling to a shop, 3090 coins. This legendary hunter's bow originally had the energy core of an unknown creature embedded in it. But at the professor's request, it was replaced with the Bear King core, changing the damage type from explosive damage to electric shock damage. The owner of this bow is none other than Xiaoxuan, nicknamed Little Water Gun. Unfortunately, there is only one such bow. In the shelter's armory, there are 25 Master Hunter's bows, and 5 ordinary level 3 bows. All archers are stocked with enchanted arrows, the majority of which are explosive arrows. Lin Yi also equipped a team of mages, ready to be deployed on the battlefield for support at any time. This remarkable team advanced slowly towards the town, so that the Angels' scouts had enough time to see them and report to their leader in detail. Inside Shuvasong camp. 10 minutes before the shelter army's appearance. A 12th century Gothic cathedral. Inside was a spacious nave, the floor covered with carpets and soft cushions, along with benches and mattresses. The air was filled with an intoxicating fragrance. Some women lay on the carpet. Some women chatted happily, while others trembled from withdrawal. Where the altar once stood, now sat the throne of a big, blond man. He was in good shape, with a six-pack. The man sat on the throne, eyes closed, enjoying the pleasure provided by the women. He was abruptly interrupted. "Sorry to disturb you, the interrogation is over," said a man in a leather jacket with an angel pattern. He clearly dared not look directly into the great angel's eyes, as if his gaze could turn him into stone. He also tried not to look at those harem beauties. The great angel collected all the beautiful women. Other members of the gang had to settle for those without pretty faces. "Get out, I have serious matters to handle." The great angel, full of pride, dismissed the woman from his body and tossed her a small white pill. "It's my honor to serve you, my lord." The woman trembled as she took the pill and then left. "Share it. Please. Just a little bit." The other girls crowded around her, begging for a small piece of the pill, but she greedily threw the pill into her mouth and swallowed it. After a while, she lay on the carpet with a peaceful expression, clearly high. "I also want to serve you, my lord. Please, I beg you." "Yes, me too." Dozens of women, eyes red, hands trembling from withdrawal, ran towards the vacant spot. They hoped to get another dose. "Get back to your positions. I have important matters to handle. Wait for your turn." The great angel roared, then said, "Speak." "Yes, great angel. Those people really don't know where the food and the coins are. None of them have seen that merchant. It looks like he never came for the grade after all. Send more people, I want them to find this merchant. Maybe he's just been delayed." The tone of the great angel was like Caesar's, while the bald biker gang member was like a pitiable savage, feeling fortunate to offer tribute and kiss his feet. "Yes. What about that spy? Execute him. He brought us unreliable information. It's his fault we didn't catch the merchant and his food." "Yes, my lord." After saying this, the bald biker gang member bowed and quickly left. At this point, the great angel pointed at a pale, thin, red-eyed blonde woman. "You, come here." "Yes. Yes. I'll do anything you ask, thank you, my lord." The woman cried, then ran towards the throne, almost tripping over her own feet. The great angel watched this scene, merely chuckling softly. Chapter 154, Groveling and Humbling inside Shivasong camp. The great angel was about to indulge. Still the same bald biker, he rushed into the nave with a terrified look, shouting. Great angel, hurry. There's an entire army coming this way." "What? An army? Are you sure? How many people? Get out, you scum." The great angel yelled, shoving the girl serving him roughly aside. "Speak." "They have 300 men. 4 armored vehicles equipped with anti-aircraft machine guns, several armored minibuses. They're all wearing NATO uniforms and bulletproof vests, heading this way." 300 men? What are their weapons? What the hell are they equipped with? Assault rifles, submachine guns, and system weapons. And they brought a lot of advanced professionals. The once imperious great angel now broke into a sweat, panic rising. The bald man was overwhelmed too, his pants were wet. He had only glanced at the army and was overpowered by their presence. Their aura clearly came from countless fights in seas of corpses. It was a world apart from their aura, bullies merely preying on weak civilians. They clearly came to exterminate us. The great angel shouted in frantic chaos. "Arm everyone. Even those who've never held a gun. Use women and children as human shields, send more people to the houses. If they... Damn it, you damn go quickly." "Yes." The bald man stumbled and ran off. The great angel threw all his pills towards the women, snapping. "And the rest of you. Take these and forget what you just saw. Wow. 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 The women greedily lunged at the small pills, swallowing as many as possible. At this time, 500 meters outside Shivasong camp, a few scouts with the Hawkeye skill climbed a cell phone signal tower. There they could see half the small town. Other soldiers with stealth skills sneaked into the camp to inspect the situation. Soon, Lin Yi's earpiece reported. "Boss. This is Alangu. I see many people setting up roadblocks, others hiding in houses. Seems like they've opted for guerrilla tactics. Boss. This is Ills. I'm in the town. People are very panicked. They've been told to fight to the death or their families will be fed to the zombies." Ills, a former journalist before the apocalypse, voluntarily joined the militia after joining the shelter. After killing a zombie, he obtained the rare chameleon skill. Able to perfectly blend into surroundings while moving slowly, making him a perfect scout. He carried a shelter camera operated by 6 controllers for reconnaissance. "Good. Stop at the crossroads, I think they'll get my message." Lin Yi smiled, signaling his 2 aides, Hubert and Solomon, with the latter nodding to act. The army stopped after reaching the destination. A minute passed. Then 5 minutes, 10 minutes. The townsfolk finally realized this formidable army wanted to negotiate. They all breathed a sigh of relief. The Great Angel even more so. He immediately sent his trusted bald aide to greet them. The bald biker cautiously and slowly rode his motorcycle toward the army. He was completely unarmed but wore a full smile, despite his arms and legs trembling in fear. Up close, this unfamiliar army was even more terrifying. He was scared to death but had to muster courage to speak. Sorry. Hello. If you don't mind my question, what wind blew you to our insignificant town? Shut up. Hubert yelled. He looked extremely terrifying, especially now dressed in system armor, wielding a black powder rifle. Our boss is going to speak. Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. The bald man shivered in fright, falling off the motorcycle, trembling as he waited aside. At this moment, Lin Yi slowly stepped out. I've heard you were looking for me? This. You. We. Right, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm a merchant, originally going to make a big deal with the southern camp but got delayed. When I arrived, I found you killed them all and took everything. Lin Yi spoke with a friendly smile. See, I brought loads of food, hoping to get coins from that camp. Honestly don't care who I get money from. Do you understand? The bald man felt the overwhelming pressure from Lin Yi, unable to speak. His neck seemed to shrink into his chest, and if he had hair, it would surely be standing on end. Lin Yi frowned, puzzled as to why the so-called Great Angel sent out an imbecile. To put it simply, I've brought food, and if I can't sell it according to plan, I'll be very unhappy. And when I'm unhappy, blood will flow, rivers of blood. Lin Yi walked up to the bald man and looked down at him. I originally planned to earn at least 300,000 coins. Now, go relay this message to your leader. As a gesture of goodwill, I will lead my troops to check out the scenery, but don't keep me waiting too long, kid. Yes. Yes. The bald man shouted, then quickly got into the car and sped away. I think he wet his pants from fear. Hubert said with a laugh, and the soldiers burst into laughter. The bald man did indeed look very comical. Inside Shivasong camp, the bald man spent a long time outside the hall before finally catching his breath. The feeling that the army leader gave him was akin to death god. He took a breath and rushed into the camp hall. Lord Angel. I have good news. Huh? He saw Great Angel hastily packing the gang's valuables into a brand new Land Cruiser. The bald man asked uncertainly. My lord? Good news? They're not attacking us anymore? Great Angel, incredulous, slowly put down what he was doing, and his heart returned to his chest. The bald man's eyes silently swept over those valuables. After a while he shook his head. Maybe the pressure from that army leader was too overwhelming, but now towards Great Angel. He didn't seem so afraid anymore. What the hell do they want? Great Angel was somewhat anxious, thinking maybe this guy was scared out of his wits. The bald man took out a list from his pocket, and handed it to Great Angel. He's that merchant. He's here to trade. He doesn't want to take the goods back home, unless we buy all his food with 300,000 coins, otherwise, he'll be unhappy and then blood will flow like a river. Potatoes, 2.5 coins per pound. Rabbit meat, 2.5 coins per pound. Flour, 20 coins. What the hell is this? No, look at the prices on this. He even has vegetables. We're going to strike it rich. Great Angel got excited and shouted, how many coins do we have? Tell me quickly. We only have about 70,000, my lord. Alright, 70,000 divided by 2.5. Alright, that's 14 tons of food. Wow. Upon hearing these numbers, the bald man felt a shiver down his spine, The amount of food was too staggering. But after coming back from the shock, he quickly thought of the most important question. But he wants 300,000 coins. Are you stupid? We can buy some of his food first and then sell it immediately. We'll sell it at 20 coins a pound. No, 30. Before the apocalypse, Great Angel was a trader, making a living by selling various things. He's familiar with this market. He shouted again, quickly remove the roadblocks, prepare some men and vehicles. All right. 10 minutes later, Great Angel personally came to the meeting point. By then, the soldiers from the shelter had already walked back half a kilometer down the road. But even from such a distance, Great Angel and the bald man were still quite frightened. Lin Yi was just sitting on a large sofa in the middle of the highway, drinking hot coffee, and eating fresh cake. Dhuan was transformed into a beast shape, sitting on the car roof, while Solomon was in stone form, holding a machine gun, leaning against his armored jeep. A few steps away, Xiaoxuan was whispering sweetly over the radio to Melanie, looking like a suck-up. But behind them was a group of fully armed soldiers, filled with hostility, ready for battle. Great Angel nervously swallowed. Hello, I'm the leader of the camp here, just came to pay my respects to you. How may I address you? The bald man shrank behind Great Angel. He didn't dare look at Lin Yi but had a faint thought in his mind. He couldn't believe that Great Angel, who was arrogant and domineering just a few hours ago, was now bowing and scraping like a flunky trying to please his boss for a living. I'm Lin Yi. Nice to meet you, I'm Patrick Klein, but you can call me Patrick. Great Angel smiled awkwardly and bent over. We attacked their camp, but I assure you, it was entirely justifiable. They killed some of my men and robbed others. I don't care about that. Lin Yi impatiently waved his hand and said. Great Angel was overjoyed. It was good he wasn't here for revenge. His back bent even more. Sorry, regardless, I have 70,000 coins here. If you agree to wait half a day, my people will deliver the rest of the money to you. If you don't mind, I'd like to buy 70,000 coins worth of food first. So you're a trader then? I don't care about such things. I'll be back in an hour, arrange a place for the deal. Lin Yi finished his coffee and said coldly. If I were you, I absolutely wouldn't try to kill me, many have tried, and... At this point, he suddenly vanished, and appeared a second later holding a rocket launcher. He laughed evilly. The outcome for those who tried to kill me wasn't very good. Good. All right. I wouldn't dare even in my dreams. Great Angel was pale and trembling all over, with the rocket launcher pointed at him. But Lin Yi's next words made him fall onto the ground, discolored. An hour later, don't keep me waiting. My people have already put a tracker on you, so if you run, the rocket launcher will follow you. Chapter 155, Great Angel, Fallen. Shivasong, outside the forest. After teleporting the rocket launcher, coffee cup, and sofa back to the shelter, Lin Yi led the troops to clear out a zombie-occupied camp and looted extensively. After all, there was still an hour until the meeting. Battle complete. Dhuan was pondering with the metal badge of the portable camera. Boss, can I mount this thing on something else? Why must it hang from my chest? Then you can hang it on that tree. After Lin Yi finished speaking, he returned to the shelter and had Melanie switch the camera feed to that tree. It actually worked. He immediately bought roughly 40 cameras. Thought for a second, then bought 100 more. Each camera costs 100 coins, spending 14,000 coins all at once. Lin Yi returned to the real world, very pleased, and said to Dhuan, I promise to find you a girl, and she'll be a hot one. Whoa. Dhuan the bearman perked up at once. The boss always keeps his word. He ordered via radio for the scout with the chameleon skill to leave the town, retrieve the 100 cameras, and install them throughout the enemy camp. An hour later, Lin Yi arrived at the meeting place. He was alone, but not worried about safety at all. Great Angel Patrick, his blue eyes gleaming with excitement over this lucrative opportunity. He was fantasizing that soon he could use the large amount of food to become a true overlord. He was quite surprised when he arrived at the meeting place driving a Land Cruiser. Are you by yourself? What do I have to be afraid of? Lin Yi sneered, waved his hand to send the military jeep back to the shelter. Then nonchalantly jumped into the passenger seat of the Great Angel's car. At the same time, he secretly installed a camera in the car. A few minutes later, the car arrived at the center of the small town used as the Angel base. Have you decided what to buy? Sir. This is the list. It's all in French, I need it in Chinese, understand? Lin Yi, seeing the list, spoke impatiently, then crumpled the list and tossed it at the Great Angel. The Great Angel, slapped across the face, couldn't dare get angry, and could only speak humbly. Very sorry. My subordinate is a fool, I should have checked his work first. Would you care to sit a while in my hall? The Great Angel parked the car in front of a 12th century Gothic cathedral. "Please come in." He opened the car door, inviting the distinguished guest inside. The cathedral's interior was clean and tidy, the spacious nave able to accommodate a substantial number of believers. There seemed to be a faint unpleasant smell in the room. But it was being ventilated, so it was still acceptable. Patrick shouted, "Sebastian, bring those coins to me immediately." Soon, the bald motorcycle gang member appeared carrying a huge sack. "Humphrey. What, you couldn't figure out how to consolidate the coins?" "Forget it, whatever," Lin Yi said, immediately teleporting the coins back to the shelter. Seeing the coins disappear, the two angels were dumbfounded, but before they could react to whether they've been tricked, the merchant spoke again. 71,210 coins, and you miscalculated by a whole thousand. Are you trying to cheat me?" No, sir, Shut up, tell me what you want." "Oh, right. Patrick and the bald man started counting and eventually decided to buy 10 tons of potatoes, which cost 50,000 coins, and the remaining money was spent on flour and some other items. As a trustworthy merchant, Lin Yi waved his hand and dropped the food they wanted on the ground. The Great Angel and the bald man, upon witnessing this scene, trembled with excitement and began to embrace the food. "Humphrey." Lin Yi's icy tone made both of them shiver, cautiously stopping their actions. "Sir. There's still a shortfall of over 400,000 coins. I didn't come here to earn this petty change." Yes. I'll bring my most capable men and quickly send the remaining money to you." Subsequently, the Great Angel angrily yelled at the bald man. "Sebastian, take 2/3 of the potatoes and some other items, take a small portion as samples, and sell them immediately." "What if they don't want to trade with us? Or don't trust us? You know, our reputation isn't that great." "Then persuade them, if not, beat them, and if necessary, kill them. Bring all the heavy weapons, damn it." It wasn't long before several motorcycle gang members rushed into the room, stunned to see so much food. Someone quickly explained the situation to them, then they recruited some people from the captives caught by the gang. These people also learned about the food situation and were promised that they and their families would receive some. While the camp was bustling, Lin Yi was wandering around the camp. The angels had a large garage with motorcycles, jeeps, and trucks. There was also a gladiatorial arena to force people to fight zombies, and a large convoy of cars. At this time, Great Angel Patrick jogged over, wearing a fawning smile on his face. "Would you like to visit my harem? I've got some top-tier girls there." "No, I prefer being with girls I know are healthy. Treating illnesses is too difficult nowadays," Lin Yi said calmly. "I just want to relax a bit, I'm always on the road." "Well, want something to eat? I only eat the food I bring myself." As he spoke, he grinned, and a plate of fresh vegetable stew appeared in his hand. The aroma was so enticing, it almost made the Great Angel choke on his own saliva. The angel gang eats well, much better than most people in this area. They brazenly rob nearby camps or force civilians to hand over their last bit of food. The meals they eat at their stronghold are what most survivors can only dream of. But the food in front of him was something the gentleman had only seen in his dreams. I'll take you to your room." Patrick swallowed hard, leading Lin Yi to the second-floor lounge of the cathedral. The room was clearly prepared with care, with a big bed, a laptop, a small fridge filled with alcohol, and several cans of stewed meat on the table. "Wake me up when everything's ready." "Of course, sir, enjoy your stay." As the Great Angel spoke, he carefully closed the room door like a waiter. Lin Yi lay on the bed, closed his eyes, and Melanie's report came through his earphones. "Boss, he's gone. We've confirmed there are no listening devices here. This camp seems to lack such equipment. At least, we didn't find them when you were looking around." "What did you find while searching the camp? What's the situation on Ill's side?" "He hasn't found anything for now. There is no advanced system equipment here, mostly light weapons, a few assault rifles, and 2 light machine guns. They've locked the women in the cathedral's basement. Those girls seem drugged, the Great Angel is playing with them now." After a moment of silence, Melanie continued, "Most of the captives are hungry, like animals, locked in cages one by one." "What about Il's?" "Hold on." Nika switched to the Scouts channel, started questioning, then reported back. He said he can complete his task in 15 minutes. Currently, 2/3 of the captives are gathered by the Angel Gang, along with all the biker gang members. They're packing the food they've bought onto cars, getting ready to leave. "Alright, we'll act half an hour after they leave. Tell everyone to rest and get something to eat." "Yes, boss." About 40 minutes later, a large number of cars from Shivasong camp sped off in different directions, like burning mice. Just as Lin Yi was about to doze off, his earphones rang. Boss, it's time for action. How many people do they have left? 15 Angel Gang members and 40 captives, all armed to the teeth, ready to resist attacks in the absence of the main force. Where's the blue-eyed angel? The Great Angel? He's in the basement. Still there? Yes. He's in good shape, show me the way. Lin Yi left the room and encountered a biker gang guard on the cathedral's ground floor. Sir, is there anything I can help you with? Restroom. Lin Yi covered his mouth, stifling a big yawn. This way, please. The biker gang member said, beginning to lead the guest to the restroom. As soon as he turned his back, the kid's head suddenly slipped from his shoulders and was caught before hitting the ground. After sending the biker gang member's body back to the stronghold, Lin Yi walked toward the basement nonchalantly. The Great Angel was still busy. Seeing the guest come in, the small leader appeared somewhat smug, waving him over, inviting him to join. You're here, sir, I've been expecting you, ha ha ha. Come, feel free to choose any, I have all sizes in my box. Bam. Before Patrick could finish, a 9mm bullet hole appeared on his head. His body fell on a fat woman, but despite blood flowing from the man's corpse, the fat woman remained unresponsive. In the basement, the other 20-some women were also unconscious from drugs. They lay there lifelessly, muttering something while occasionally moving an arm. Lin Yi watched coldly. At this moment, Chen Yui's voice came through his earphones. Boss. How about we take them to the hospital? Melanie tells me many were forced and then got hooked. My mind reading can differentiate. The shelter is also short on people. Did you think I would kill them? Lin Yi raised his eyebrows with amusement, transferring Great Angel Patrick's body into the pit. Then he transmitted all the women away. Next, returning to the cathedral's ground floor, he summoned Hubert and his soldiers. Having experienced many armed conflicts together, the soldiers were well suited to quickly clear such a zone. 40 individuals rushed out from the cathedral, instantly taking down 4 biker gang guards. Then split into 5-person teams, scattering in different directions. Chapter 156, Occupying Shivasong. Inside Shivasong camp. Each team is equipped with an eye, along with surveillance cameras installed inside the camp by the scouts. Hubert already knows the precise location of every enemy. The battle is almost one-sided. The captives are throwing away their weapons one after another, pleading with the soldiers to save their families. The motor gang didn't have time to react and was instantly killed. There were no casualties. About 15 minutes later, the camp was completely controlled by Lin Yi's people. The captives and hostages were all gathered in one place. These men haven't seen their families in months, some no longer have family. After all, not all hostages can survive long-term hunger and captivity. The first thing Lin Yi did was give them all spring water and hot food. Then, civilians from the shelter were summoned, using the information provided by the captives to loot the camp. The soldiers took up strategic positions, waiting for the Angel Gang to return and ready to give them a fatal blow. The Angel Gang had a staggering amount of stuff. They seemed to steal everything of value, including electronics, parts, tools, and of course, food. Clearly, the Angel Gang was obsessed with gold and jewelry too. They had an entire treasure room. Lin Yi had to spend 10,000 coins and rent a 100,000 square yard warehouse to store all the ill-gotten gains of the Angel Gang. The Angel Gang also had a workshop for reloading shells, with quite a few skilled craftsmen inside. Lin Yi was very pleased with this. Once everyone had eaten and drunk, Chen Yuiu began questioning the captives using mind reading. She discovered that 11 people were bona fide villains, so they were tied up and locked away to be dealt with once things calmed down. Lin Yi planned to gather more people to clean out the town because he wanted everything. Furniture, cutlery, tattered rags, even dirty socks. His greed had surpassed level 250. If possible, he would tear down the houses for materials. But now was not the right time, so he decided to wait until the Angel Gang was dealt with before thoroughly cleaning the place. The Angel Gang didn't take long to return. The first batch returned from a town called Leon, about 20 kilometers northeast. This team consisted of 20 motor gang members and 55 captives. The convoy drove into the town unobstructed, completing a smooth transaction, and they were now thinking of the leader's reward, getting ready for a good meal. Of course, the captives could only eat some leftovers. But suddenly, an armored jeep appeared at the corner. A flagpole was tied to the bumper, with the head of the Great Angel mounted on it. Machine gunners appeared from the windows of nearby houses, and the only road out of town was suddenly blocked by 3 jeeps equipped with machine guns. At this moment, Solomon shouted through a loudspeaker. Your leader is dead, the camp is ours now, surrender or be killed on the spot. Oh my god? The Great Angel is dead. They have over 100 people. What about our families, sir? Tell us what happened to them. They have been saved. As I speak, They are eating and receiving emergency care. Surrender. Yes, yes. The captives shouted excitedly. However, one motor gang member emerged to try to stop all this, waving his hands. They will kill us all, we've done so much. Shut the hell up. Before the motor gang member could finish speaking, another motor gang member thrust a knife into his throat. Then, the member waved his hands and shouted. We surrender. We surrender. Guys, drop your guns, drop your guns. Solomon watched all this and gave the order. Another 100 people appeared, and the soldiers disarmed the motor gang members. Anyone thinking of fighting their way out realized it would be nothing short of suicide. The motor gang sold about 3 tons of food, earning 15 coins per pound, carrying 96,000 coins. And according to their interrogation, if there's more, they could sell another 10 tons. It seems they are bargaining for their survival. Soon after, another team returned from a survivor camp called Shawnee. This team was smaller, only 10 motor gang members and dozens of captives. Initially, they tried to fight their way out, but a wall of fire and 6 corpses quickly cooled them down. They sold some hostages and food to that camp, earning 53,000 coins. In the next hour, 2 more small teams returned, bringing a total of 30,000 coins. The largest team didn't return until nearly sunset. They seemed. Well, they had their goods stolen and got beaten up badly. Only 6 motor gang members and 33 tough captives came back. The Great Angel's trusted assistant, the bald man Sebastian, also survived. Extremely surprised by the warm rifle-waving welcome from these shelter soldiers. This team had wounded, many without weapons, thus no possibility of resistance, and immediately surrendered. Overall, Lin Yi took away 173,000 coins, a large number of motorcycles and vehicles, and some weapons, including light firearms and many system weapons. The soldiers tied everyone up for interrogation. Thanks to the human lie detector Chen Yuiu, they identified 9 captives who were more than willing to assist the motorcycle gang in committing crimes against humanity. However, among the motorcycle gang members, there were 4 who had actually been resisting the Great Angel's rule all along. This motorcycle gang, known as the Highway Angels, had existed for half a century. They had their own laws and rules, so the Great Angel couldn't get rid of these 4 people. They had killed, but only out of self-defense or when they felt it was deserved. After the interrogation, the other motorcycle gang members were ruthlessly dealt with, i.e. beheaded and thrown into a pit. They talked to the rescued people, and most were eager to join the shelter. But some had relatives in other camps, so Lin Yi gave them vehicles and some food. That day, the shelter welcomed 120 men, 477 women and children. All of the 120 men agreed to join the shelter's army on the condition that their families would be well taken care of after they died in battle. These people were sent to the base afterwards. The soldiers quickly searched the town, clearing out all the zombies they found outside. As night fell, everyone returned to the base. The newly opened potato and vegetable fields had just ripened, yielding a record tons of potatoes and 64 tons of vegetables. Especially noteworthy was the harvest of tomatoes and cucumbers. Emmanuel promised to start making ketchup and tomato sauce at the factory the next morning. Lin Yi insisted that the cucumbers must be pickled, and they must be sour and spicy to suit the Eastern palate. Unexpectedly, Beauty Mary knew how to do it. She patted her 300-pound stomach and promised with a big grin to complete the task beautifully. At dinner, Lin Yi devoured the tomato salad. These particularly ripe tomatoes were juicier than the honey peaches he had eaten before. By the way, can we make mayonnaise? Boss, we have eggs. I'll ask Emmanuel later, it shouldn't be a problem. Chen Yui's smile was dazzlingly bright. Recently, she had convinced Blaze and his wife to help her deal with some organizational issues. Indeed, the Blaze couple had a knack for this. They appeared sincere, spoke sincerely, and easily won the trust of the people. At this moment, Lin Yi noticed Annie, who was slightly thinner, looking like she had been starving for 2 months. Did you finish your work? Boss. You're so bad. I almost died opening those rewards. But the worst part is, the room doesn't even have a window. Annie complained while pausing her eating, tears welling up in her eyes. I had nightmares and couldn't get enough fresh air. If it weren't for Sylvie, I would have gone crazy. I was careless. Sorry. But as you know, we're about to undertake a mission on the island, and we need the items from those rewards, vaccines, and equipment. I know. That's why I didn't rest for a moment, didn't slack off for a second. Annie's unexpected dedication to the common cause made everyone suddenly have a different view of her. Ha ha ha. Well done. In reward, I'll let you name the first Zitty baby. You mean the kind that produces milk? Yes. Oh. Boss, you're so mean. Annie pouted indignantly. Lin Yi smiled and looked at Regina. How are the newcomers doing? They've all eaten and have places to stay. The injured are already receiving treatment at the hospital. By the way, among the new arrivals, there are 3 former nurses from a hospital, along with 2 doctors. 1 surgeon and 1 orthopedic doctor. Great. Then we can proceed with our plan to build a new hospital, right, Natasha? Yes. Okay, anything else? No, boss. The little girl said, grabbing another tray as she continued to eat voraciously, eager to grow up quickly. Lin Yi thought for a moment and made a decision. Then after breakfast tomorrow, we'll start redesigning the base. Spread the word. Yes, boss, answered Chen Yuiu. At this point, Solomon, who hadn't spoken before, started reporting on the situation with the beastmen. The beastmen sent scouts and several cleaning teams, but shortly after setting out, they fell into an ambush and suffered setbacks. Although there were no casualties, many were injured. Just as we expected, the zombie general decided to retreat and use guerrilla tactics to weaken us. It seems the situation has eased. Lin Yi pondered, stroking his chin, aware that he couldn't let the zombie general lead him by the nose. Perhaps it would be a good time to attack a small infected area for a small hunting trip, using automatic weapons to gain experience? As he thought, Zoe also began reporting that during the time Annie opened the reward egg, she managed the breeding. Chapter 157, Lightsaber, Light Gun, Cannon Shelter, at dinner. The shy Zoe, blushing, made eye contact with Lin Yi and reported the situation. Boss, the little yellow chickens are visibly growing fast. They're almost always eating. Now we have about 100 fully grown hens and roosters, and each one lays about 4 eggs a day, but the eggs hatch in 10 minutes. In recent days, many people had come to her, wanting to hold these little chicks. But the chicks were crazily eating, making it nearly impossible to pull them away from the food. Hearing this, Lin Yi was also delighted. Then soon, we'll be able to eat scrambled eggs, and make decent baked goods with real eggs instead of egg powder. Everyone nodded in agreement, expressing their excitement. With milk and eggs, the quality of food in the shelter will greatly improve. After lunch, Lin Yi went to the armory. Sylvie was meticulously recording an inventory, where there was a large amount of new equipment authenticated by Professor Mark. What's this? A baseball bat? I can see that, but didn't you notice that it occasionally has electric currents running through it? Electric shock baseball bat, first level, still the kind of baseball bat commonly seen by beginners, but it has a hidden characteristic that can be revealed. Each time you hit an enemy with it, there's a chance to deal additional electric shock damage. Lin Yi scratched his head, asking in the shelter, it can be revealed? So how do I reveal them? Go ask your appraiser, Sylvie, get the professor over here. Okay, boss. 3 minutes later. The old professor arrived. Boss, is there an urgent matter? I've already authenticated all the equipment. Can you reveal the hidden properties of items? I can, I just reached level 5 today, and I've tried revealing features of a few items but haven't succeeded, and it consumes a lot of magic points. Ippee. Authenticate this baseball bat, Lin Yi said, handing the electric shock baseball bat to the professor. Old Mark was somewhat puzzled, but he took it and placed the baseball bat on the table, then. Reveal. Electric shock baseball bat, first level. This is a novice baseball bat with special properties, and items like these are extremely rare. When you swing this baseball bat and attack an enemy, you can make it release electric currents at will, and the power of the electric shock depends on the magic points consumed during the attack. Magic power can be transferred to the baseball bat to recharge it. Note, this baseball bat restores 1 magic point every hour within the base. Detected hidden attributes, attack power, 10 durability, 60 out of 60 magic value, 100 out of 100 magic power per point of magic value, 1, sell price to the shop, 450 coins. Lin Yi looked at the item description, his eyes shining. Professor. You have to reveal the hidden attributes of all our equipment, this is powerful. But authenticating an item consumes 1 magic point, and revealing hidden properties consumes another 2 points, I don't have enough magic points. The professor protested, knowing that the shelter currently had a lot of system equipment. Most importantly, he had to quickly research the rebirth plan and Lin Yi's condition, which were most crucial. If something happened to him, everyone would be doomed. The things in your mind are still under research. Consuming a lot of magic power will affect my capacity to work. I have a solution. Lin Yi smiled, holding a grape-sized blue sphere in his hand. Energy core, consumable, contains energy, can be used as an energy source or absorbed to restore magic points. Ippee. Can be found in mutants above level 2. You haven't tried authenticating an energy core, have you? Not yet. Let me try. The professor excitedly picked up the blue sphere, a trace of an azure arc flashing in his eyes. Interesting. Look at this. Infected energy core, level 2, consumable, Contains energy. Can be used as an energy source or absorbed to restore magic points. IP. Can be found in mutants above level 2. Note: this core restores 1 magic point every hour within the base. Detected hidden attributes. Magic value, 200 out of 200. Virus load, 0.1 element. Lin Yi looked at the description, frowning. Shelter. What does virus load mean? It means the magic within the core, that is, the magic points, have been infected by a virus. Are you saying that anyone using this magic will turn into a zombie? All survivors breathing air and drinking water in the outside world will be infected by the virus. Humans will only turn into zombies through direct physical contact with zombies. Then how does the virus manifest in a human body? Infertility, loss of life force, shortened lifespan. Damn. Lin Yi suddenly recalled the matter of human sterilization. How fast is virus removal in the shelter? Upgrade the base to find out. Understood. Professor Mark also tried communicating with the shelter, but the shelter had never responded to him. At this moment, after Lin Yi finished communicating, he asked, "What's the situation?" "Nothing special. Just that humans have big trouble. You're next," Lin Yi said, handing over 27 green cores to the professor. "Wait. We also have level 3 cores. Mutant Energy Core, level 3. Detected hidden attributes, magic value, 600 out of 600. Element, ice. Mutant Energy Core, level 3. Hidden attributes detected, magic value, 600 out of 600. Element, ice. The first level 3 core comes from the Bear Queen, the second comes from the Rat King. The Energy Core has attributes. That's great news." After explaining to the professor, Lin Yi turned his gaze towards the level 4 equipment. They were 8 swords of peculiar shape. From the hilt to the tip, they were 1.5 meters long, and the sword wasn't sharp. As soon as Lin Yi grasped the sword, the system immediately transmitted all the information about the sword into his mind. The sword activated, its blade enveloped by blue energy like a laser sword, yet still retaining the shape of a normal sword, with a blade width doubling. Laser sword, level 4, a next-generation melee weapon. Powered by magic, with an internal battery and an additional energy source slot. Easily cuts through metal but cannot cut through buildings. This isn't an enemy. It's not advisable to test the sharpness of the blade with your fingers. Humans can charge it by infusing their own magic power into the sword. Note: this sword restores 1 point of magic value per hour within the base. Hidden attributes detected, attack power, plus 40 battery capacity, 100 out of 100, consumes 10 points of magic value per hour when the sword is activated. Good stuff. Lin Yi then cast his gaze towards other equipment. 2 pairs of mage gloves. They didn't look much like gloves, more like straps with runes, and had 5 rings on them. Mage gloves, level 4, magic skills plus 12. Reduces magic value consumption by 35%, allowing the mage to cast any type of magic, and then there were 3 mage staffs. They were steel-colored metal rods, emitting a faint blue glow. About 2.5 meters long, with several runes on the handle. Pressing one rune turned the top of the staff into a spear, pressing another turned it into a halberd, pressing again turned the top into 4 interlocking claws. Mage staff, level 4, magic skills plus 24. Can use stored magic power within the staff to cast spells. Reduces magic value consumption by 15%. The staff has a battery and a level 2 energy core slot, and can filter out magic to prevent any virus infection. Note: this staff restores 1 point of magic value per hour within the base. It has 4 modes: magic staff, spear, halberd, and magic siphon. Hidden attributes detected, battery capacity, 200 out of 200. When the staff is in magic siphon mode, it restores 5 points of magic value per hour. Within the base, the recovery rate doubles. Not bad, but Lin Yi isn't a mage and doesn't have much feeling for such items. Next up is the truly awesome stuff. 12 laser rifles. They were made of the same material as the staff, looking very high-tech. Laser rifle, level 4, a next-generation ranged weapon, powered by magic, with an internal battery and an additional energy source slot. This rifle has a strong stopping effect and no recoil, cannot be used underwater. Firing rate can be manually set or configured via system command. Note: this rifle may overheat. Hidden attributes detected, attack power, 30-40, depending on firing speed. Battery capacity, 100 out of 100, consumes 0.1 point of magic value per shot. Good stuff. Lin Yi looked at the last weapon. It seemed like some kind of large gun, weighing 30 to 35 pounds, looking a bit like a handheld Gatling gun. Energy cannon, level 4, a firearm capable of producing a powerful energy impact. Though it consumes a lot of magic value, it has immense destructive power, capable of easily destroying a tank. Each shot requires a long charging time. The energy cannon can use a level 3 energy core as an energy source. Element fusion level, 50%. Note, the energy cannon may overheat. Hidden attributes detected: attack power, uncalculable battery capacity, 200 out of 200, consumes 100 points of magic value per shot. At this moment, Lin Yi was playing with his level 4 new weapons like a child with new toys, his face beaming with joy. After checking the weapons, he moved on to look at the defensive gear. There were 285 pieces of first-level defensive gear, pieces of second-level defensive gear, pieces of third-level defensive gear. Level 3 defensive gear can be divided into 3 types: heavy, magic, and standard. Each set has 5 pieces, totaling 26 complete sets of armor. But once a full set of armor is assembled, the item description changes, and new bonuses appear. Standard defensive gear is made of leather with metal plates sewn in. The gear includes a helmet, also made of leather and covered with metal plates on the forehead, top, and ears. Standard armor, level 3, description: a full armor set consisting of 5 components: helmet, chest plate, pants, shoes, gloves, attribute effects, all physical attributes +2, additional bonuses: strength +8, agility +8, endurance +8, vitality +8, magic power +6, hidden attributes detected, defense 16. Heavy armor is mainly made of metal, and despite weighing over 30 pounds, it still offers decent mobility. Unlike standard armor, it provides 22 defense, with +4 to strength and endurance. Besides these, there is also magic-type armor. Chapter 158, 5 Unique Skill Books. Inside the arsenal, Lin Yi was observing the magic-type armor. They were made of a material that was neither plastic nor polyester, with some components being metal and leather. Eerie blue arcs flickered across the entire set of armor, converging on a metal component on the chest designed with an energy core slot. This armor's defense stats were 13, magic power +8. It could also absorb magic value from the energy core inserted into the set, without increasing viral load. But this wasn't the most advanced. There was also level 4 armor. Only 16 pieces existed, which means just 3 complete sets of equipment. This set of armor looked like it was taken straight out of a sci-fi movie. Made from some sort of composite material, it was extremely durable, lightweight, and incredibly flexible at key points. The color was a silver black with reinforced chest armor and a fully enclosed helmet. The helmet had no openings for eyes or mouth, but once worn, the visibility was excellent. As if not wearing the helmet at all. Breathing inside was also very easy. If equipped with a complete set, this armor would be completely sealed. The gloves and helmet could retract into the set at will, and the pants even had an automatic zipper. Standard armor, level 4, description: a set of armor consisting of 5 pieces: helmet, chest armor, pants, shoes, gloves, attribute effects, all physical attributes +4, additional bonuses: power +12, agility +12, endurance +12, vitality +12, magic power +8, hidden attributes detected, defense 35. At this moment, the door of the arsenal opened. Solomon, following Lin Yi's orders, had elite soldiers try on both level 3 and 4 armor sets. The group of men was extremely happy, especially after equipping a full set of armor and weapons. Next, they checked other equipment. There were 377 level 1 vaccine bracelets, 213 level 2 bracelets, and 56 level 3 bracelets. So far, no one had seen any creatures carrying level 3 viruses. But being bitten by such a monster, infection might not be the worst worry. Lin Yi found more good stuff. He discovered 18 level 1 rings, adorned with small gemstones. These rings provided attribute bonuses, and the color of the stones indicated which attribute they enhanced. The gemstones were small and smooth, causing no hindrance at all. But only 2 rings of the same kind could be worn at a time, each ring providing +1 to the respective attribute. More surprisingly, there were more level 2 accessories, a total of 175 pieces, including rings, necklaces, and chains. However, only a necklace or another chain could be worn, not both at the same time. This might be because not every man is willing to wear a necklace. The types of level 3 accessories were about the same, and they found 53 pieces, each providing +4 to a certain attribute. But there was a unique item, the mage pendant. It was made of some wood-like material, shaped like a heart. There was a level 2 energy core slot in the middle of the pendant, increasing the wearer's magic power by 2 points when inactive. When activated, it provided +8 magic power and increased magic value recovery speed by 50%, but the charged core could only last 3. These excellent pendants were only 3. Then, Lin Yi discovered some mysterious scrolls, realizing they were schematics. In total, there were 4, and the names were quite exciting. 2 were called Doomsday Warrior. One was called AP1. And another was Doomsday Mount. The first was a schematic for level 3 armor, the second for an assault rifle, and the third for some type of vehicle. Doomsday Warrior, an artifact maker, could use this recipe to create a set of level 3 Doomsday Warrior armor. Note: using the weaponsmith workbench, a weaponsmith can alter the material of the crafted set, but this might lead to a decrease in quality. Required crafting materials: Titan, material name, not defined, crystal rod, not defined. The description was quite brief. To be precise, there was almost no description, just a very straightforward explanation of the item. The names of the crafting materials were bewildering. Lin Yi suspected he couldn't even find a tenth of these bizarre materials. The other recipes were even worse. However, there was some good news: all materials could be replaced with coins, but how much would that cost? Among the next 26 items, there were 5 vaccine injectors that could reverse mutation and turn a zombie back into a human within 24 hours if they hadn't been infected for long. Bottles of first aid spray, capable of quickly healing wounds. Decoys that could attract zombies within a certain range but required an energy core to function. The last item was a camping kit. Only one. It looked like a bracelet, and when activated, would teleport a tent, sleeping bag, and grill to its location. The true treasures were the level 4 items. They had 3 workbenches and 2 recovery platforms powered by energy cores. And 2 schematics, one for the Annihilator armor set and another for the Eraser laser rifle. 5 injectors for healing mortal wounds and 2 scanners that could display all infected within 100 yards. And the best part: a real high-tech motorcycle. Or so everyone thought until Lin Yi picked up one of the injectors. Evolution Potion. This potion grants a skill point. Note: only 1 evolution potion can be used per week. A soldier muttered softly, "My god. This is the real stuff." Indeed. Lin Yi laughed heartily. The skill upgrade rule is: below level 5, you cannot upgrade a skill to level 2. Similarly, below level 9, you cannot upgrade a skill to level 3, and so on. And he was about to reach level 10 soon. As he thought about that, he set the injector aside and began checking the skill books. The number of skill books is not many; to be exact, there are 126 books, of which 16 are rare skills. But there are as many as 5 unique skills. Rare skills include 5 weapon master skill books and 4 doctor skill books. Lin Yi began to feel hopeful, but was quickly doused with cold water. Professionals with doctor skills can diagnose injuries and heal them by consuming magic value. But this skill is ineffective for his head injury. There's also an identification skill book, as well as one that allows the user to read minds. Then there are the unique skill books, super cool. Flesh Shaper allows the user to manipulate flesh, and it doesn't specify that it has to be living flesh. Sword Master seems straightforward, but everyone must understand that it's not just a simple sword skill. Regeneration can heal the user's wounds, which makes Lin Yi think of immortality. Immune can make the user immune to viruses, but the virus immunity corresponds to levels. Dominator is the most interesting skill. It allows the user to control the consciousness of others and can even manipulate the infected. But based on the description, a level 1 skill can control up to 5 infected at a time. After thinking for a moment, Lin Yi learned the regeneration skill and injected himself with an evolution potion. When the purple liquid entered his body, he felt a slight chill spread throughout his body. Then a system message appeared: "You have consumed an evolution potion, gained 1 skill point. P.S. You're quite selfish, kid." Hee, I may be selfish, but at least I'm still alive. As long as I'm alive, everyone can survive. Lin Yi chuckled coldly. After investing the skill point into regeneration, he felt a strong itch all over his body, as if ants were crawling under his skin. But it only lasted about 5 seconds. Regeneration, level 2, your body can rapidly regenerate after taking physical damage. You can even cut off your own arm, and it will eventually grow back. Wanna try it? You're really annoying lately. Lin Yi muttered to himself. But his thoughts were suddenly interrupted by the burning sensation from the scar left by the motorbike accident. And then, "I need to use the bathroom, you guys take over." After telling Solomon and Hubert, Lin Yi ran off. Besides healing wounds, the regeneration skill could also clear all toxins from the body. This means that anyone with this skill has to spend half an hour in the bathroom first. After coming out of the bathroom, Lin Yi was starving. Then all his old scars began to itch and burn like crazy. I probably shouldn't have upgraded regeneration to level 2 all at once. Lin Yi murmured to himself while trying to sleep. If he had let his body adapt to level 1 regeneration first, upgrading to level 2 wouldn't have been so painful. It was a tough night. But when he woke up the next day, his body felt fantastic. No soreness or fatigue, but his mood was terrible. Fortunately, Chen Yuiu solved that problem. After breakfast, he immediately tried on new equipment. Boss, you look awesome. Annie looked at Lin Yi, dressed in level 4 armor, like she was gazing upon a future warrior, stars in her eyes. At this moment, Ziaxuan glanced at Melanie, and then put on that puppy dog look, and asked. Boss, can I try it? Huh, of course. The boss looked at him, for some reason, sighed in the end, and waved his hand, manifesting another set of armor. Thanks, boss. Ziaxuan was elated. Lin Yi nodded and began to review his attributes. Name, Lin Yi, level 9, experience points, 729 out of 1280, 57%, attribute points, 0, endurance, 25 out of 25, magic value, 10 out of 18, attributes, power, 18, 30, agility, 20, 36, endurance, 13, 25, vitality, 13, 33, magic power, 10, 18, skills, shelter control, combat reflex, level 2, extra life, level 1, precise shooting, level 1, regeneration, level 2. Apart from armor, he wore a few small accessories, including 2 rings that added 4 points to agility and 4 points to vitality respectively, as well as a necklace that added 4 points to vitality. He remembered the professor had previously said to boost vitality, maybe now he could recover faster and no longer be easily influenced by thoughts. With that in mind, he went to the professor's lab. I can tell you that your physical condition is excellent, but you'll often feel hungry in the next few days and have to frequently use the bathroom.